2+2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, a guide to eating at the World Series with Jimmy Fricke, All-American Dave, and Alan Kessler. Also, the Bay 101 with Matt Savage and more. Now here they are, teaching Lindsey Graham how to turn on a computer, Adam and Terrence.
Welcome, everybody, to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. I am your host, A. Schwartz. Beside me in the studio is our intrepid producer, Rossco, and not sitting beside me this week for the first week in a little while is our co-host, T-Chan, but he is joining us via
1,500 miles away.
Magic of internet Skypes. He is 1,500 miles away in Mexico City. T-Chan, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, even covering this distance. It was fun doing things in studio, but had to get it, felt the need to get out of town a little bit. Cut my losses, cut my winnings while I was ahead. We had like 3 beautiful weeks in Vancouver, and I'm not sure. Is it keeping up over there?
It's a little cloudy today, but it's been nice. You might want to think about coming back fairly soon, although I'm sure you're having a lot of fun. How many shootouts have you been in the day or two you've been there? No gun battles?
Pick the under. Yeah, I haven't been shot or stabbed. I have not been robbed yet, so I'm running. I'm running good.
Of course, he is staying with JC Alvarado, his buddy, and we had JC on telling shootout stories or getting caught in the middle of a shootout story a couple weeks back. Good times. So you're on the grind. You're $50 Zoom PLO, or what are you doing?
Me? Oh, I'm just I spent all day, actually. I feel like really accomplished. I was running errands. I had to get some documents for a friend in Costa Rica. Then I went and got a local SIM card so that I could have some data and text people. And I accomplished all of this in Spanish, and it's been a long time for me. And I felt super, super accomplished. It's like a really good feeling of actually just getting normal shit done, but in a language that I haven't really spoken in about 10 years. That part of it actually felt really good. Like it makes the travel experience so much more enjoyable when you can just sort of, not 100% blend in, but just do daily stuff.
Have you been to Mexico City before? Is that your first time there?
Nope. Yeah, it's my first time to Mexico City, and it's really my first time of any significance in Mexico, other than I think a PCA stop and a party poker stop. But those cruise stops are never really true city stops.
Everybody thinks about the size, the sheer vastness of Mexico City when you think about it. And
it's amazing.
The other thing I think about is the pollution, because I think it's in a valley. And it's a huge. From stories that I've told, never been there, but it's like this giant pollution cloud hanging over.
Well, you're talking to a guy who lives in Hong Kong, so everything's a little relative. It's not always the beautiful, pristine trees of Maple Ridge, British Columbia, or anything like that. So obviously, it is huge. When you land at the airport, it's one of the most incredible airport landings. I mean, right outside of right up there with say Las Vegas at night or Manhattan.
I was just thinking that it must just be a never-ending city.
It's so vast in both directions. The airport is pretty close to the center of town, unlike a lot of big cities. Where you gotta take a cab 40 minutes to get anywhere of use. It is truly immense. It is polluted. The traffic is nuts. But overall, it's probably less polluted than Hong Kong, at least where I am. But the traffic is absolutely nuts. You go on Google Maps, and you know how it's got the red, yellow, and the green that tells you how much traffic there is. You're constantly in red. It's just red all the time. There's just traffic jams that it's amazing anybody ever gets anywhere.
Wait, Google Maps has traffic as well? Was not aware.
Are you serious? You didn't know that? Yeah, you can Google
Maps.
There's
no traffic in Maple Ridge. What do I know about traffic?
Yeah, I guess so. No, Google Maps traffic is the best thing because obviously if you go from point A to point B, usually there's 3 different ways to get there, and it'll calculate your average distance. How long would it take you without traffic? So if something's 19 minutes, but it might be 26 minutes because there's an accident somewhere, the traffic's backed up, and it'll offer you a different route.
Adam, you need parking lot traffic for outside Safeway.
That's what I need exactly. So the next question, from me to you about Mexico City, of course, is going to be about food. I've seen the Anthony Bourdain No Reservations in Mexico City. The street food looked amazing, and I love Mexican food in general. Not the crap Mexican food here that you get that probably nobody in Mexico eats, but actual real Mexican food.
Yeah.
But also, and on that subject, I want to just pimp our show a little bit here. We're going to have the World Series of Poker food preview or food. How do we do this?
It's our run up to the World Series, but this is going to be our food focused segment, and bring in some foodies and talk about the best places to eat, because everybody wants to know the best places to eat in Las Vegas. A lot of people only come for 3, 4, or 5 days, and you can get in so many good restaurants in even that period of time if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, we're going to bring in somebody. We're going to try and bring in a few people to talk about different aspects of eating in Las Vegas. One of them is Gobbo Boy, Jimmy Fricke. We're going to continue with our Poker Road Poker Road hosts show up in the Pokercast theme and have Jimmy. He knows everything to know about food in Vegas. He writes a blog called Jimmy Eats Vegas. If you've ever been lucky enough to be shown some restaurants by Jimmy, you'll find some new and exciting stuff. A lot of fun. And so we're going to bring Jimmy in, and I'm also trying to get All American Dave, who has been one of the food providers at the Rio for the last few years. Started off sort of as a secret for only a few in the know, and expanded his business to the point last year where he had a food truck set up outside the Amazon room near the bathrooms, the one Terrence were talking about the other week, when we were talking about the outhouse. Set up All American Dave as a basketball court and a food truck set up there. So we're going to try and talk to All American Dave as well, and I'm trying to get Kessler. Chainsaw to come in and talk, because this Chainsaw
is Chainsaw food lover? I didn't even know that.
Well, he's not a food lover. He has to eat. So Alan approaches that as
I like that.
How do I do that in the cheapest way possible? So
that's bargain basement.
Bargain basement. How do I get comps? Where to go? That kind of thing.
That probably is 3 a.m. Mexican food in Vegas. I mean, that's some of the cheapest food that you'll get. You can feed a family for like $9.
Exactly. So that's a little different take. Hopefully we'll get Alan. He hasn't responded to my text yet, but who knows? We'll see if we can get Alan on as well.
But I will give you the day one food trip report.
Excellent.
JC and his girlfriend and Aaron Bean and I went to Pujol, which is the one of the top 50 restaurants or top 20 restaurants in the world.
Wow.
It's one of the most reasonably priced ones. It was amazing. Literally last night was probably the only night we could get in. So I've now ruined the trip by having the best meal on the first night. But it was absolutely fantastic. Very reasonably priced. Very very casual setting for one of those 5-star restaurants.
What type of food?
Yeah, it's Mexican food, and it is very much with a lot of the kind of traditional ingredients and traditional flair, but obviously done in the nicest way possible. So I'm looking at the menu right now, the souvenir menu that they gave you. We actually start with street snacks and, corn infusions and corn dough. And there were churros at the end of the meal. Absolutely. We had some
gourmet churros.
Yeah, gourmet churros. We had some corn, obviously a lot of corn product, but and then we had many different moles. Cuit la coche, which is like this, it's like vegetables and it's mixed with sweetbreads, and there's tongue consomme, and we had great tacos too. There were we had tamales. We had some grilled octopus in its own ink, and we had a lamb taco with that, and that was the best taco I've ever eaten in my life.
Wow, that sounds fantastic.
It was a suckling lamb taco with avocado leaf adobo and avocado puree.
Wow.
But the absolute, and this surprised me a lot, but the absolute highlight was actually the dessert, because I'm not a huge dessert guy. But first they hit you up with this mole, and for those who don't know much about Mexican food, mole is it's a sort of a chocolate sauce, but it's often aged. And they gave us 2 moles surrounded in each other. One's a new mole, and they didn't say how old it was, but the other mole has been being made for, I think, 667 days. So 2 years, it's a 2-year-old mole which is pretty amazing, and it was delicious. And you just kind of soak it up with tortillas and eat it. And we had like 4 different dessert courses. The next was better than the rest. And I'm not a dessert guy at all, but fantastic meal. Some of the best things that I've ever put in my mouth.
Damn. Imagine trying to deconstruct a stadium churro, like a baseball stadium.
At the end, churros with chocolate sauce.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds good. Sounds really good.
Pretty epic.
I'm not sure about the octopus in its own ink. That kind of made me.
You don't like octopus? I mean, I've never had octopus quite like this, and it's definitely different than any octopus that I've ever had. I had octopus in San Remo in Italy, in some fancy Italian restaurants over there, and I've had octopus obviously in Chinese cuisine. This is very different. So always, I would say, give it a try, because you never really know what something's like in a totally different format when it's prepared by like someone world class.
Someone who knows how to do it. I had octopus, and it was really it was like tasting rubber.
Yeah, sometimes if it's not done well, it's rubber. But it's like poker, right? You wouldn't tell everybody to play 7-4 suited, but when you put 7-4 suited in the hands of the right people, sometimes magical things happen.
Indeed. Okay, yeah. Keep us updated, T. We're going to get into more food. I know you have a lot to say on that subject as well in Vegas, so we can hopefully help out some people that are heading out to Las Vegas for the first time this year to get the most out of their eating Las Vegas, as Jimmy's blog would say. It's March Madness is on us. I know you guys aren't huge sports fans. This is middle of March now, and every year we have Mr. Alan Boston, who comes on the show to give us his take on the matchups, on the tournament, the NCAA tournament, the brackets, etc. Everybody's getting excited. Coming up is when I think Selection Sunday is this Sunday. So we always have Alan on. It's a bit difficult this year because we've been recording on Thursdays. Selection Sunday is next weekend, and then the first game, I believe, is Thursday. So we probably need to back the show up a little bit. I was going to talk to you guys and see if this is something you could do. Maybe do the show next Tuesday.
Anything for the people, right? Like you said, I'm a sports fan, by the way. I take objection to that. I might not be an American.
No, I know you're
I'm not
a hockey
an American
fan. Sorry,
sports
I shouldn't
fan.
have said.
I'm not a baseball, basketball, and football fan.
I'm sorry,
but I'm not a basketball guy, but certainly the people have been asking for Mr. Alan Boston.
Yeah.
It's I listened to when you and MJ interviewed him. I listened to the show, even though I didn't know the first thing. I wouldn't be able to tell Nebraska from Ohio State or anything like that. But certainly happy to give the people what they want. Give them some Alan Boston.
Fantastic. So next Tuesday afternoon we'll record that show and hopefully get it out Tuesday night if Ross goes up to the challenge, and then that gives people a day or two to get that pick of the week, the lock of the week that Alan he's been so successful. I want to say he's won every year he's done it. I think I want to say it's 3 years, and his lock of the week, his lock of the first round is won every year.
How did you not tell me to get that drop?
Which one?
The lock. That's a big lock.
Big Jimmy's. That's from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That is from The Simpsons.
Really
the gigantic lock.
Yeah, I love that drop. We got to get that for next week when we get Boston. A couple of things before we get to all the poker stuff. I don't know, Terrence, did you see this? Senator Lindsey Graham from, I can't remember what state he's from. Jon Stewart makes fun of him nonstop. That's how I'm somewhat familiar with him. It's great. But somewhere in the South, I believe, Republican. He admitted this.
South Carolina.
Is it South Carolina? Okay. So, and he admitted this week. Remember, he's one of the sponsors of the Restore the Wire Act that we're going through right now with Sheldon Adelson. And he admitted this week that because there's this scandal with Hillary Clinton going on, or pseudo scandal, whatever you want to call it, of some sort of email. I can't keep up with it all. But she was talking about her email, whether she used this email address, that one. Lindsey Graham said, "You'll never have a problem with me because I've never used email."
Wow.
And I'm like, I mean, I can understand, a grandmother or grandfather who, whatever, an older person who maybe worked in a factory or something, or never had really any need for it.
Has been retired for years, probably.
Been
and never
retired
worked
for years,
in office,
watches TV, goes for a walk, goes to sleep, gets up again, does it again. This guy is a senator in the U.S., and he's never used email. I mean,
he's proud of it. Yeah.
And he's proud of it. And he's the one who is deciding on whether people should be able to do things online or not, or one of the people that's trying to stop you from doing it. Were you shocked as I am at this?
I mean, shocked that no, shocked is probably not the right word, but yeah, like it's embarrassing to see that these are the people who represent, not us in the literal sense, but represent the people and our elected officials, because like you said, yeah, it's just email is not like this great. It's not like he's saying, oh, I've never used Twitter, or I've never used Uber, I've never used an Airbnb. Like email is like a fundamental part of the way that we've been communicating for close to 15 years now, and at the very least the last 10. And so the fact that somebody is proud of this, and like you said, I didn't even make the connection, of course, with the Sheldon Adelson and all that kind of stuff, to say that yeah, this guy is actually one of the people that decides what people can do on the internet.
I bet
not that he knows what that is.
Yeah. Ross is saying he's probably surfed porn.
I bet you he knows you-porn.
Yeah, that's probably a thing. I mean, in fairness, I've never used a phonograph either, I guess. So,
you haven't?
Yeah.
Mess it out.
He wants to restore the wire act so he can use a telegraph again.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe that's what he thinks it means. That would be, give him pass on that. Teach things like, we should send stuff through wires again. Oh, jeez. Terrible.
So last week on the show, we were talking, it was our World Series poker preparation. We were talking about where to stay. And in the segment, we talked about going for your diamond in a day, and what sort of stuff that would get you. A friend of mine who is one of the best at milking Vegas for all it's worth, and I believe he just spent
Advantage Play.
He's one of the best advantage players. He spent, I think, the last 15 months living in Vegas hotels from free rooms and stuff, and going around and maximizing everything. He was kind of a little bit pissed at me, saying, it came off like you were endorsing the fact that people should do this. And I want to make it clear that if you're going to do that diamond in a day or go for some sort of status to try and get comps, it's not worth it in the end. It's only if you feel like that's sort of important to you, that you want to pass by lineups here and there. But monetarily, it's not worth it at all. You're giving up a fair amount of money. First of all, you're not going to play anywhere close to correct if you're going to go trying for diamond in a day. So you're going to make a lot of mistakes there. You're going to give up a lot of your edge. He's right. I hope it didn't come off that way, because that wasn't the intention. It was just, if that kind of thing is important to you, then this is a way to do it. But I suggest you don't do it.
So that's kind of interesting, because I thought the EV loss was only a couple $100.
If you play perfectly, and diamond, I think it's more than that. It's more than like 200, if that's what you're saying. Also, not many people are going to be able to just walk in and play video poker perfectly, even if.
Sure, I mean, yeah, it requires some skill, requires some practice, and the hours that you grind are worth it too, especially if you're not playing high stakes. And obviously, like you say, you have to learn the game. I don't think it's the worst investment people can make at all. I mean, I think you do get some value in skipping a lot of the lines if your time is valuable. You do get some room comps and stuff like that. Yeah, it's probably not nearly as good as the stuff your friend gets, but it also doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world.
Well, he made a point.
Maybe I'm wrong.
He was saying, as far as the room comps and stuff going, he said specifically with Harrah's that almost always you're going to get better rates from travel sites than you will as from your diamond card. So basically, the advantages are, as you mentioned, getting by lineups, both at the cage and where else? Several different places within Harrah's properties you're going to be able to get by lineup, buffets, things like that, and room discounts or offers. But he like I said, he said almost always you're going to get better rates online. And what else are you going to get? There's the Diamond Lounge, which is in the Rio, but what they put out is pretty hysterical for foodstuffs and drinks that you can get for free, basically on the floor anyway, most of the time. Okay, so
consider myself educated.
I just wanted to make that point because I didn't want it to come off like we were saying, "Hey, get out there and do this diamond in a day thing." Because
you need like, I don't know, somewhere in the 50K ballpark, or you need a significant bankroll to make this worthwhile to begin with. So if you're listening to a couple of idiots on a poker show talking about how you should gamble on what's video poker machines, then I don't know what to say. But hopefully, I don't think we endangered too many bankrolls. I don't think.
Let's get to some in case you missed it.
Now it's time for In Case You Missed It.
How did he miss the open goal? 6x4, and he comes up 0. missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
How on earth, indeed. In case you missed it, Alex Dreyfus of the GPI and the American Poker Awards, European Poker Awards, Hendon Mob, etc., says poker should have, or he's floating the idea that poker should have 4 majors, like golf has 4 major tournaments, the U.S. Open, the Masters, the PGA, and the Open Championship. He says that poker should have have 4 major tournaments as well that we call majors. Here there's all kinds of discussion to get to, but first of all, Terrence, what would your 4 majors be if you had to decide which ones they would be?
For me, I would say obviously the World Series main event is unquestionably, the lock that's going to be on everyone's. I think the PCA is the next biggest tournament that tends to draw the largest international audience. Then for me, it would be a toss-up kind of between the EPT Grand Final and the Aussie Millions. I think the internationalist of the tournament is a good one. I saw a lot of poker players tweeting about this, and a lot of people also mentioning the 50K 8 game with the World Series Poker Players Championship, just because there should be a mixed game aspect of it, and poker is not just no limit hold'em. I definitely can see a very strong argument for that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of a subjective, and doesn't really matter what you define as major, but it's certainly one of the top 5 most prestigious tournaments to win in the world. It kind of means that you're a great all-around player in all likelihood. I saw a lot of people float around the idea of the WPT Championship. I think that one bubbles for me just because it's very American-centric, doesn't have a huge number of non-Americans going to it. It's kind of lost its prestige and value. So, yeah, if gun to my head, choose 4, I'll go with the main event, the EPT final, the PCA, and the Aussie Millions.
Interesting, yeah. So, first of all, when you talk about golf, and if we're going to stick by the comparison, the golf 4 majors, they play the same format of golf in all 4 tournaments. There are different tournaments where they play match play or some different format, but in the 4 majors, it's all stroke play that gets played for this. So if you're going to say, well, poker should have it, and then say, well, we should have different types of poker make up the 4 majors, i.e. the 50K Players Championship, I'm not sure that makes sense. And this is coming from a mixed game player, a guy who who likes mixed games better than no limit hold'em and PLO, etc. So, but I still think if you're going to go down this road, I think that they all should. That's my opinion. I think they should all be no limit hold'em. World Series Poker Main, as you said, Terrence, would be on my list. And I looked at a lot of lists and the tweets that you were talking about. Some of the people were saying, and it really seemed to me like it was very North American centric. And poker is not about North America anymore. Clearly, especially in the last however many years, we've seen massive growth throughout the world and the opposite of that in North America. So I have to disagree and take issue with some of the things that people were suggesting, saying that this tournament or that tournament should be on the list. So
Kessler thought like the Heartland Poker Tour tournament should be on there or something that.
Yeah, that's nonsensical. Okay, so I have the World Series Poker main event, the EPT Grand Final main event that you also had, but I also wonder if maybe that tournament should be the London EPT event instead of the EPT Grand Final main event. I definitely would want to have an EPT event on there. I'm not sure which one. I lean towards the Grand Final because, of course, this is discussing about majors. But I also don't know how we leave the city of London out of having poker such a rich history there. The games, the turnouts are always quite large there. I just don't know that we should leave London off. And so I'm going to lean EPT Grand Final main event, but if depending on what would happen, London might be there too. Aussie Millions, I completely agree with. I think that's a fantastic event, run at a fantastic facility. We always talk about it. Australia, obviously, big poker hotbed as well. And the WPT Championship was one I had on there, but that one I'm more leaning towards thinking about the World Championship of Online Poker. and having it there instead of the WPT Championship. I don't know. So that's where I kind of I think
W Coup's interesting. It's a huge field, and it is a significant buy-in. I don't remember if it is 10K or 5K now. It's definitely a large buy-in and a very large prize pool because everybody in the world can play at the same time. You don't have to travel. I guess the question is what are we, again, and we've talked about this so often with award shows, and now we'll bring in it again, is what are we actually measuring as a qualifier? Are we measuring prestige? Are we measuring, skill or how impressive it is? Because, I mean, we all agree that the World Series main event is the most prestigious, and it also happens to be the financially by far the biggest. And so, I mean, other than the one drop, if you finish first in the one drop, you might win more than the main event winner. But what exactly are we measuring when we say there needs to be the top 4 majors? What is the most important thing? And I think we have an idea in our head of what we mean, but what if we're talking about, are we just talking about prestige? Are we talking about balancing prestige and prize pools and participation and worldwide stuff? And then we get into all the stuff we talked about mixed games. What exactly are we measuring when we say there should be 4 majors? And I don't know much about golf, whether those 4 majors are just head and shoulders above every other golf tournament in the world, or the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments are bigger than all the other ones in the world, or whether somebody's just kind of decided, okay, these are the 4 biggest.
Well, yeah, in golf, they're not all open events. The Masters, for instance, is an invitational event. So it's not like anybody could just go win the Masters, but anybody could go win, the WPT Championship, whatever. The other issue with the World Championship of Online Poker is Jimmy Jazz 46 wins.
Right. Nobody knows who he is, and he doesn't want to go public.
Although
yeah.
I think you have to now, though, don't you?
No,
I think they make
I don't think they'll out your screen name, but I mean, maybe they do. But I
want to say they do. I forget exactly how that worked last time, but either way, it's you'll find a lot of people probably that play that tournament that won't play a lot of other ones. So if the whole goal of this is a star building exercise by having 4 majors, maybe the World Championship of Online Poker isn't the best bet because it's a different set of players that are playing it generally. The other issue again is that if it is a star building exercise, how many of these tournaments? You talk about golf, you say, oh, this guy's won 6 majors, or they're chasing Nicklaus's record of I think 16 majors. Tiger's a few away, and he's never won a major in his career. He's won all kinds of whatever. But you're not going to have a lot of people go out and win a lot of these events, right? I mean, you're never going to get a guy win 8 of these kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, the World Series of Poker main event obviously is so huge that you're going to get an unknown almost every year, not unknown, but a guy who, hasn't won 3 or 4. Well,
certainly it's almost certain nobody's going to win 2 of them, right?
Right. So, and that's not the case in golf and tennis. You have the number 1 seed that ends up going deep. And because you have this sort of luck factor in poker or short-term luck factor, that, does that render this whole exercise moot? I mean, is there any point to making 4 majors as a star, and I assume it's a star building or brand building?
Yeah, well, or it's like a media exercise for somebody to call this, oh, this is one of the majors, or they've won one of the majors. You're right, though. Obviously, it's very hard to sort of do that. I mean, we have, and that's again kind of the thing about making an arbitrary distinction. Like they've decided, like for example, the online poker community, they sort of decided, what a lot of the majors are. I don't know the model, but obviously there's a Sunday Million, there's a Super Tuesday, there's all of these events, and they used to have, maybe they still have like the sort of the online Triple Crown. They used to have the live Triple Crown, which was the EPT, WPT, and WSOP bracelet, and all of these kind of stuff where it was a little bit easier to say, okay, well, who's won an EPT and a WPT and a WSOP bracelet? Okay, do they have 1/3 of it, 2/3 of it, or do they have the whole thing? That's easy because these are very solid black and white things. Or when you talk about the online poker Triple Crown, these are solid things. These people won these tournaments. We just talked about how do we define these majors? Well, there's no consensus. We've probably got 8 or 9 tournaments that are all reasonable contenders for the 4 majors. So again, why are we saying again? Maybe the point is not to limit it to 4. Maybe why can't there be 10 majors?
Sure.
Just because golf has 4 majors and tennis has 4 majors doesn't mean poker does.
Yeah, I like that idea. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah,
right.
Why do we have to have 4? And then that brings in, the fact that people can win 5, 6, 7 of these things.
Yep. I think it's just kind of off the top of my head, but it seems, it's like you said, we sort of had a lot of ones that are close but not quite making it, whether you think it's the Aussie Millions, it's not quite close enough, or the WPT Championship, or the 50K 8 game, whatever it is, then you can actually kind of bring that all under the umbrella. Everybody agrees those are all prestigious and important tournaments, but whether they're in the top 4, maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Indeed. And the other thing, I guess, if that's not a way to go, then maybe all the high roller events would be a way to go, because you will have multiple people winning those tournaments, because there's many fewer entries involved. So you're going to have guys win multiple of them. But I think. So
what do you call a high roller? Because high roller in some high roller tournament in like Greece for whatever, it might be like 1,000 euros or something like that. You would have to say, it's $25,000 or 15, whatever that is. But that's not going to stop the tours from marketing or labeling their tournaments as high rollers too. And that's probably something that the media could keep track of too, right? Like, how many tournaments has this guy won with it buy-in over $25,000? Yeah,
no, for sure. I actually don't like that idea, even though I floated it, because it just becomes not about the actual poker players. It becomes about people who are funded or whatever. I mean, if you want to have this sort of inclusive community where anybody can win these things, then I don't think you have that with the high rollers. So
it's hard to satellite into 100K.
It's very difficult indeed. In case you missed it, Sam Simon has passed away. He's co-creator of The Simpsons with Matt Groening. He was a longtime poker player, played the World Series of Poker main event, of course, ex-husband of poker's Jennifer Tilley, and all-around great guy, and really, really sad. We knew it was happening. He had I believe it was colon cancer that he was battling for quite some time, and he battled it like nobody I've ever seen, and he just won his battle. Even though he passed away, he won his battle with cancer in the way that he lived, in the way his attitude that he took about his disease and what was happening to him. He was, as somebody who's been touched by it, I can tell you that is a super difficult situation to go through. Obviously, I mean, I don't think I have to tell you that, but it just hits home for me more in exactly how he dealt with it, because I know how hard it is to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And The Simpsons is such like an iconic part of me in my life. I mean, I'm 34 years old. I feel like there was never a significant time in my entire life that there hasn't been The Simpsons, and he's such a big part of that. Then the fact that he was a poker player and he did all this cool stuff is just icing on the cake. Like you said, really, really tough battle. I think he was only expected to live a couple months when he was originally diagnosed, but ended up living, I want to say it's like 3 years after that. So obviously, our heart goes out to all the family and friends of Mr. Sam Simon. Thank you for everything that you have done for us.
He spent the last, I believe, year or so giving away his massive fortune from his points in The Simpsons to various animal charities, specifically animal charities, but he also, I believe, gave away to lots of other charities as well. An amazing man. You mentioned it, and when I think about it, I don't know how many days of my life I go without thinking about a Simpsons episode.
Yeah, or a reference, or a joke that there's always a joke that
we
is
had one
part of the
today.
culture. Yeah, exactly. We've been on the show for 20 minutes, and we already had a Simpsons reference, right? It's such a huge part of us.
It is indeed. In case you missed it, Anthony Zeno wins. We just talked about people not winning. It's really hard to win these events. And let's talk about a guy who just won back-to-back
events. Yeah, well, with WPT events, there's a lot of them. That's exactly sort of our point. There's 12 of them a year or something like that. It's been running for 10 years, so that's the point. There's lots of them a year.
Indeed, he wins back-to-back World Poker Tour events. His third title, this one was overall. He won the WPT Fallsview. 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and then came back and banked the LA Poker Classic this week in LA at the Commerce Casino. 538 players. This is still a 10K, wins $1.1 million. for his win. He is the third player in history to win back-to-back WPT events, which kind of surprised me. I didn't realize that was the case. Marvin Rittenmeyer and Darren Elias are the other two. T, is this, do you think, more impressive? He joins the 3-title club with Gus Hansen and Carlos Mortensen. They each have 3 World Poker Tour titles. Gus has another one, the Bad Boy. It was a one-table. Back in the day when those were things, it was the Bad Boys of Poker WPT.
When they had theme shows, they had like only the ladies. And
we're not counting that one. So he has 3 open WPT victories. Is this a 3-time winner, Anthony Zeno? Is his feat more impressive than Gus and Carlos, do you think?
I don't know. I'd have to kind of look back at the field sizes to kind of see. I think that that's kind of the more determining factor. If you just sort of take the product of all the field sizes. Obviously, Gus, as you mentioned, one of those was basically a one table.
No, he 3 of them were open. He won 4. If you consider.
I see. Okay, so you went through. Boy, that's tough. I mean, that's all really impressive, and I don't know what the field sizes were for all those other 3 guys, but it's. It's you can't take away from it any of the other. It's certainly an incredible accomplishment.
Except people were terrible at poker back then. Now they're really, really good at poker.
Well, I mean, it's not like Gus and Carlos went back into a time machine with their present skill levels and got to beat up on people.
They were terrible too.
Yeah, well, I was sort of saying, like, if they maybe weren't terrible, but they were less terrible than the field. Certainly, probably it's one of the toughest times for poker players to have a huge edge over the rest of the field. But I mean, I don't think that's fair to say that because people were weaker back then that's less an accomplishment, because you can only be as good as you are in the year that you're existing.
Yes, that's true. Good Canadian Kid. Do we have the Good Canadian Kid drop yet?
No, I just have Phil Ivey.
We need Canadian. We need the Good Canadian Kid Don Cherry drop. Good Canadian Kid Mike Leah, Go Leafs Go A, finished second for another big score. He's on a crazy heater as well. But Anthony Zeno, of course, wins 2. In the same year, the WPT Player of the Year is basically over before it gets started. It's going to be pretty tough to knock him out. We wanted to actually bring him on the show. He's playing the 25K event today, so we'll try and get him on another time.
Play the rush.
In case you missed it, Bay 101 Shooting Star is going on right now. The main event is down to, I want to say, 30-odd players. This is the $7,500 WPT Bay 101. Huge success. And why don't we talk about it with the tournament director, Mr. Matt Savage. Welcome back to the Pokercast, Mr. Matthew Savage.
Hey, happy to be back.
Hey there. Shooting Star, Bay 101 Shooting Star, huge success. 708 entries to the main event. You got to be ecstatic with that number, Matt. Big success.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just every year I don't think it's possible that we can have that many players here, especially because our room's so small. But they keep showing up, and I think it goes a long way to the way they're treated here in San Jose, and obviously the satellite program, I think, is the best in the world. I don't think there's anywhere else that runs satellites that are as well attended. Even the main event of the World Series couldn't draw this many players, months in advance. So it's awesome. It's really awesome to have that kind of turnout here and for people to show up and be happy when they leave.
Do you have an idea of how many those are satellite entries?
Oh, yeah, we had over 260 satellite entries.
Wow, that's crazy. 35% of your field is satellite entries. That's great. How much of the success of the Bay 101, Matt, do you think is due to the Shooting Star format, where you go out and pick some higher profile guys in the poker world, and people can come and you put one at each table and there's a bounty, et cetera? How much do you think that format is responsible for the success of the tournament?
I think the bounty program is a big part of it. You just you feel it when you walk through the door. People are getting autographs and taking pictures, and it's an experience. People that play this event, some of them, it's their only event they play all year. People talk about the main event of the World Series, being the one event of the year that everybody wants to play. But if you ask some of the pros, even people were tweeting about it the last couple of days that it's the main event of the World Series, and this is their second favorite event. That says a lot about the way they're treated here and about the event itself.
Yeah, Matt, that's really amazing that you've got so many people calling this their second favorite tournament. After the main event, obviously, that's great. And you and Adam talked about the satellite winners and just a tremendous number, and the fact that you've got a lot of casual players. And on the other hand, you had people complaining because you took to Twitter, I think about a week ago, and said, you're usually such a nice guy on Twitter to your poker public. But you say, please don't come to me and say that you weren't warned about the size of this casino, the fact that it's packed with players, and most of those players are amateur. Did you get a little flack for that? And I guess tailing off of that, is there any possibility to increase the size of the venue, given that how successful it's been?
Not really. I mean, the Bay 101 is small. We don't have slot machines. We don't have some of the ancillary things, a hotel, big restaurants or other things that big casinos do that the value of a poker player is really seen. So, our value here pretty much for the event is it's going to lose money. So, shutting down all the cash games is not really something the management wants to do here. So it really is a fight against, the cash games and the tournament, and, displacing our regular customers is a real issue. So I definitely wanted to get that out there and warn people, because it was a few weeks ago when Blackhawk up in Colorado had an event where they held back some of the tournament tables for cash games, and people just went ballistic on them on Twitter. How could you do that to the tournament players? But what they don't understand is, there's other casinos in the area that if you shut your regular players out for a couple of days or 3 days, they might go over there and play, and next thing you know, they don't come back. They may have a winning session there and say, hey, I don't need to go back to Bay 101. It's not important for me to do so because, I'm just as lucky, or I won over here, or, they treated me good this week, and now, you've lost some customers for life, maybe.
We were talking about the shooting stars. One of them this year was the great poker statistician, Kevmath, who we don't think of as, a big-time NTT player, but it looked like he was having some fun.
Yeah, he was having a great time. It was really cool to see him go deep. I really wish he would have cashed, but he was around here hustling around for the final percentages of getting bought into the tournament, and he didn't want to ask anybody. So it was kind of him looking to me and saying, "Hey, there's a guy over there that might take a piece of me," and I'm not going to be the negotiator, but I kind of did say, hey, look how much this guy's done for the poker industry, and he has. He's done so much. He deserves a shot. He had a great time. You see some of the pictures of him dancing at the table, and it was really cool to see him in the tournament. And I'm glad he enjoyed it. I know he was a little upset that he didn't cash, but at the end, I think he had a great experience. So I was happy for Kevin.
Yeah, it's great that he went on a heater though at one point. He finished the day with over 100,000, and it seemed like around this kind of the middle of the day, he was really on this heater, and you can just feel Twitter exploding because this guy's done so much. Like you said, he didn't cash. I'm sure he's disappointed with that, but it's so much better than say if he was just card dead the whole day and then he got blinded down and got his last 9K in with pocket deuces against ace jack or something like that. It's good that he had that real experience, I think.
Definitely. And he, like I said, he's not the most outgoing guy, but he has helped so many people in so many different ways. And I don't think poker would be as great as it is without him. So I was happy to see him here and have that experience. And, a lot of those guys that he asked, nobody said no. Everybody put up $75 for 1% or whatever it was. And, I think that they felt that it was something they had to do, right? Whereas a lot of people, if they came up and said, take a piece of me, they'd get lost.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure you get a lot of flack, Matt, about who you pick for the shooting stars. And I think if anybody can learn anything about who should be a shooting star, it's absolutely somebody like Kevmath, who, like you say, has done so much for some people, but enjoys it and brings that experience to the tournament. Like, people that were playing with him, imagine if a satellite winner was hoping to get whoever, Phil Hellmuth, and he was in a bad mood, versus getting Kevmath, who's such a humble, nice guy, and he's dancing around. I mean, that's a great experience. Yeah,
it's funny you say Phil Hellmuth, because him and I had a little little argument here at the Bay.
Well, he said you had a big ego. I think is what he said.
It was very funny.
What did he say? What happened?
It was so funny because he came back and he got first card off the deck, and he said that he said to me, he said, Matt, they don't use this at the World Series, and I said, Phil, this isn't the World Series, and it is. It's a TDA. He goes, well, I think you take it overboard with the rules. I said, that's not my rule. It's a TDA rule that was voted upon by 200 people, and it's not my rule. He goes, and then he says, well, don't bring an ego into it. And I said, that's funny you talking about ego. And it was on camera, too, so I hope they put it.
Yeah, I feel like with Phil, he's just mad that somebody's enforcing the rule properly.
Right. And he said, all of the top players take that rule. And I said, well, who are those? All of those top players? He goes, well, me and Daniel. I said, well, yeah, you are top players, but you're not the only top.
You're
players.
not all of them.
Like the other 50 of them that have told me that they're okay with the rule and don't mind it much. But again, I don't care about that rule myself. So if it got changed at this year's CDA Summit, so be it. But I'm not the one. I'm not the final decision maker on that.
But it's got to be pretty cool that Hellmuth thinks you are the god of tournament rules.
Well, he did have to come up later and apologize. He gave me the fist bump and said, sorry, I just missed a hand and I was short. I understand that, but, you can't have special treatment just because you're Phil Hellmuth.
I noticed there was a live stream and on Twitch as well, and it was neat to see Bay 101 jumping into the Twitch stream on 2+2 where they list the amount of viewers. The Bay 101 Twitch stream was up there pretty good. It looked like it had a good response.
Oh, yeah, it's still on. It's still going well. We're down to 14 players, and I think that, it's a new format that I have not had a chance to really check out yet, because I've been on the road for so long, and I'm interested to see how far it goes. I know that Jason Somerville is doing a lot with it and, doing good things. And it won the GPI award for New Innovation of the Year. So hopefully, some of that stuff in the live streams that we did in the past have helped grow that industry. And I think that, the guy that's here doing it now, Rob Perlman, feels like he had something to do with it. So I hope he gets some credit for that down the road as well.
I think next year maybe an idea for a shooting star is sticky rice. There's a guy who is the hit of poker, or he was. He ran a small amount of money into a huge amount of money on Twitch, playing really bad, but pretty entertaining. I'm just kidding. I don't think he should be a shooting star, but I think it would be pretty funny if he was. Matt, we'd be remiss if we had you on the show and didn't ask you about some of the stuff that's going on out there in the poker world, tournament-wise. One of them is this idea from the GPI, Alex Dreyfus, who's talking about poker being having four majors, similar to golf and tennis. I saw your quote, and you mentioned that. First of all, I want to ask you what you think of the idea, and then maybe we'll talk about the tournaments you selected.
Yeah, I don't think that was his idea. I think I was the one that brought that up.
Oh, really? Okay, sorry.
I put a question on Twitter about it a while ago, and then they wrote that article off of the guy who was at the LAPC came up and said he was going to write an article about it, but I don't want to take full credit for it. I know that Alex is trying to do a lot of things to sportify the game.
Yeah.
But I'm fully on board with that. I think that there are some major tournaments in poker, the ones that you can't miss every year, and I gave my list, and I think that Aussie Millions would be one for me, and PCA, and the WSOP main event, and the LAPC. And I forgot one that I listed.
WPT Championship.
I better not get fired for not saying the WPT Championship. So, well, I'm glad that we've gone to reentry, and I really wasn't on my list until we took out the reentry. So,
yeah.
I think we do have those that are big for the game, and that all pros shouldn't be missing those events.
Yeah, Terrence made a good point, I think, when we were talking about earlier in the show. Yes, just because golf and tennis has four doesn't mean if we were going to do this, or if it was going to become a thing in poker, does it really need to be four, given that it's really, really hard to win these things? And, when you're going to do this, the idea is so you have somebody who's won 6, 7, 8 of them and somebody's chasing them, et cetera. It's going to be pretty hard to do that. Right. So having more of them, 8 or something like that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
For sure, and we had Carlos Mortensen here, who wasn't a bounty, by the way, so I think that he's fully deserving of look in the Hall of Fame for sure.
What did you make of Anthony Zeno winning back-to-back WPTs? An amazing performance. I asked this of Terrence earlier in there if he thought this was more impressive than you just mentioned Carlos, who has 3 as well, and also Gus Hansen. What do you think as far as that goes? Is pretty impressive.
Well, it's funny because a few months ago when I named Zeno a shooting star, people kind of said, why? He won 1 WPT title last year. A lot of people have won WPT titles, but I always thought he was just a good guy. He's a good guy and he supports the WPT, and so it was kind of cool to see him win back-to-back after that. To get to 3. I mean, I think it's a really huge accomplishment. 2 different venues, and the LAPC, as we said, one tough field that is considered what I consider a major of poker. For him to win that on the second of a back-to-back was really impressive. So, yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's it shows that there is some skill still in the game, and obviously some luck as well because he did chase a few hands down there. But I think that he deserves a lot of the accolade because he puts that much back into the game, and he really is a supporter of poker and does the right thing, in my opinion.
Matt, I wanted to ask you about a discussion that got heated on the Twitters amongst a bunch of poker players, professional poker players, and you were also, in the thread as well, trying to be a voice of reason. But a player named Jordan Christos has been talking about, how he's been the subject of some conversation about how long he takes while playing, and this sort of comes off of the idea that the WPT final tables have 1 hour levels, and is this really enough play for important money? And then a lot of people pointed out that this guy is possibly the slowest player in the circuit, and he ends up trying to defend his style, I guess, of play. I personally, I've always been a huge fan of players trying to play fast. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on all of this stuff in terms of the time of the amount of play that's given at the final table, as well as how long people are taking at the table, and the shot clock's the only solution to this thing.
Well, yeah, it's funny because again he was attacking the WPT for shortening the levels, and then I in fact the thing about him complaining about the levels yet being so slow that he's actually doing more damage to the structure than we are by having hour-long levels. And then it just took off. And then I had 500 tweets that day, all of them mentioning my name, which I wasn't even involved with, the conversation going back and forth. But obviously tanking, I thought, was a huge problem in poker, more so a few years ago, like 3 years ago. I think that we talked a lot about it, and we talked about the shot clock, and then people got faster. I mean, Doc Sands, who's here playing in the high roller here right now, is he's not slow at all now. And I think that, when he came back on day 2, this being Jordan Christos, played faster. So maybe he realized that what he's doing is out of line. I just think it is out of line. It really affects not only the people that are playing the game, but it also affects the new customer that comes in and says, this is just awful. I mean, I'm not having a good time because this player is taking so long on every decision. And I think that, he will grow from this. I think he'll become better and faster, and I think that it'll be better for him and for us and for a lot of the other reasons, for poker itself. And I think, Daniel taking an active role in voicing his opinion always helps as well.
What can ultimately be done about this other than social pressure? Is social pressure kind of the only answer? Because you mentioned Doc Sands is playing faster. Jordan Christos, after this discussion, you said you noticed him playing faster. But it seems to me that one day there's just going to be a guy who says, I don't give a shit. I don't care about anybody else other than myself. I'm going to tank excessively. I don't care. And everybody else, it's everybody else's problem. Do we need rules in place, or is social pressure the answer? What is the answer long term, and how do we make poker more fun for everybody else, basically?
Well, a good part of that is that you do have that option to call the clock. And a lot of people don't know that if you have the clock called on somebody more than once, what's going to happen is it's going to be reduced. So, the first time it's a minute, then it's 50 seconds, then 40, 30, 20, and it could even go to 10 seconds. I've never gone that far with it yet, but I do think that that's an option for players. And, one of the problems with that is that, people feel that there's no real way to determine what a reasonable amount of time is. So it's not consistent enough. So, and in the discussions I've had about the shot clock with so many people, people don't really feel like that's going to be a very great option for poker as well. So, there are people that think that the shot clock will work. I have my doubts. But I think, the whole discussion of it will kind of out those that are slow and hopefully make them faster. I know there's issues when we're on the bubble of tournaments as well, and I think people will keep an eye out for that. So I think it's going to go away. I do. I think people are going to figure it out and understand that it's not good for the game to take so long to act. And I credit a lot of people that were in that discussion to make that better.
Matt, we've been doing a thing called Stripper Trivia with our guests lately. We've tailored the questions for our guests. There are 4 questions. Terrence, you've had a look at the 4 questions, have you, T? Are we going to set a line here on how many Matthew's going to get here?
I did set them up, except that I only saw that you had 3 questions. Okay, I see
put the 4th in now.
Just added a 4th. I'm scrolling. I'm catching up. Okay, so I definitely think he is. 2 of those are really tough, and I feel like he's definitely going to get 2 of them. So I feel like
sounds like you have your line.
Yeah, 2.5. You're going to snap the under, so I've got to go with 2, and I think 2's the number.
I am going to take the over 2. Matthew, we're going to wager $20 on this. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
Steel is the world's #1 best-selling brand of what? STIHL. Steel is the #1 best-selling brand of what?
Chainsaws.
Yeah, Taylor.
That's one of the one I counted on, so I'm happy with that.
Steel chainsaws. All right. What is the longest distance at which an average PGA putt is a favorite to be made? In other words, they're going to make more than 51% or 50% of them. The average distance, rounded to the nearest foot.
Wow. I'm going to say 5 feet.
The number is 8. Where's the we need Rossco with the yes, there it is. You don't make 8-footers half the time is the problem.
That's the problem.
He's also not in the PGA.
Who was the San Jose Sharks' first ever draft pick?
Pat Falloon.
Pat Falloon is right.
Oh no, that was. I figured that was a tough one because when I looked it up myself, I was mad that I'd forgotten that. But of course, Matt's the big Sharks fan.
I snapped knew it, so I figured it'd be easy for him. Yeah. That's 2.
I forgot, of course, if one of the most famous #2 draft picks of all time.
Yes, indeed. I am now free rolling. That's 2 of 3 to ship me the money. Matt, name the last 5 World Series of Poker main event winners backwards in order.
Wow. I'm going to lose this for sure.
Wow, really? I thought you'd get this one.
Jacobson.
Yep.
Man. I'm going to lose this one for sure. Wow. I got to remember who was before that. Ryan Reese?
Yep.
Is that right? Wow. In order is too tough. I would say, it's a Euro guy. I know that. Nope. I'm going to give up.
You give up? There it is. Greg Merson. Merson in 2000. You got Jakobsen last year, Ryan Reese in 2013, Merson in 12, P.S. Hines in 2011, and Jonathan Duhamel, your friend Jonathan Duhamel in 2010.
Oh,
Adam, I'm so glad that because I would have protested and called for a ruling on this one because you were telling him as he was getting them that he was getting them right because you're like
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's like saying Mercury. Yeah, that's right. Venus, yeah, that's right. I would have had to call, and then we wouldn't have had anybody to make a ruling because the guy who's making all the rulings answered the question.
All right, we got.
Yeah, that was too tough.
I'm looking forward to Pebble Beach. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know, Matt, is I'm going to Pebble Beach and to play golf. What's going to happen that weekend in May?
Well, we have a good time. We have a lot of extracurricular activities along going with the golf. So you'll have a good time. I think it'll be your favorite tournament you've ever played in, and it's going to be great. We're going to play Pebble Beach and Spyglass and Poppy Hills and bayonet and black horse, and it's going to be a good time had by all. I'm happy you're going to be a part of it, and I think you'll never want to miss it again.
Sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't seen too many Sharks tweets.
Yeah, I've been busy working.
Oh, that's it. It's you're working. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Not being 7 points out of the playoffs with like 10 games left or whatever. Nothing to do with that.
Thank you so much.
That has nothing to do with it.
So thanks so much, Matt. Really appreciate your time, sir.
I still say we have just as many cups as the Canucks.
We do. Yes, that's 0. True. Thanks, Matt. Thank you to Matt Savage for all the important details about Bay 101. A lot of fun. We were down there last year, had a ton of fun there. It's not a huge poker room, so it does get pretty packed, and there's a lot of people, fans, who show up and root people on. Terrence, you ever been to Bay 101?
I have. Well, yes, sorry, I have. I only was there for a day. I played cash a little bit. Very, very beautiful poker room.
It is.
And yeah, I really enjoyed it there. It was really great action. I mean, this is the early 2000s. There was always great action, but yeah, lots of fun. Back then, I'm sure this is no longer the case, but you could only play spread limited cash games, as I recall.
No,
what does that mean?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, there are probably other people who don't know what spread limit means. So basically, typical, limit hold'em. Let's say you're playing 4-8 limit hold'em. You can bet 4 before the flop, 4 on the flop, 8 on the turn, 8 on the river, and you have no limit hold'em where you could bet anything from the big blind to all in. Spread limit hold'em was a thing that they had in I want to say Northern California, and they wanted to have no limit, but there was for some reason some kind of like cap. That you could only bet $200. I don't know if it was like a law or something like that. Oh. So what they had was spread limit hold'em, where you could bet anywhere between $2 and $200 on any street. So it ends up being this really, and you think, oh, okay, well that's sort of like no limit, except maybe the river bets are small or the turn bets are smaller. But what actually happens in practice is that people predict their hands and they just make like these huge over bets pre-flop, and it ends up being like a 200 limit game. It's kind of bizarre sometimes.
Yeah. So, one of the things about BC was you could only bet 500. 500 was the maximum you could bet, even in all the no limit or pot limit games.
Huh. Yeah.
So when the big tournament here, the BC Poker Championships would happen, there's always a 25-50 PLO game going. And right. I remember sweating. I was sitting behind FBT, our boy Greg Mueller, who was playing in the game one night, and I was sweating his hand. On the turn, he had top set on like a 10-9 5 deuce 2 suits draw. Like it was the most draw heavy board, and he had top set. And the pot was 3,700 or something, and he could bet 500 to protect his top set. I remember the absolute disgust in his voice as he tossed out the $500 chip. Like, nobody is folding anything in this spot. I can't.
Well, like I said, it's basically limit, right? You basically you play pot limit until you get to a point where now it's no longer pot limit. Now it's limit because you're betting 1/7 of the pot.
Right. So try and keep that pot small if you got top set on a driving board, so you can bet a big percentage of the pot. But anyways, so that's spread limit. So yeah, Bay 101, a lot of fun. It's in San Jose. Obviously, if you're ever going to head out to a WPT event, I suggest that one might be high on the list if you want to sightsee as well, if it's not just about poker, because it's a bit of a smaller poker room, and it's not like going to LA where you have all kinds of options.
Would you go to see a Sharks game with Matt? Like, would that be something you're willing to do?
Matt, as we pointed out, they're a huge Sharks fan. Probably the most annoying hockey fan ever. Let me tell you a quick story about Matt. So he and I, he obviously knows I'm a Canuck fan, and he's a Sharks fan, and the Canucks and Sharks have this rivalry in the playoffs. We've gone at it a couple of years. And, he doesn't ever really want to talk hockey. He wants to troll you nonstop about it.
Correct.
He's not interested in talking about any details about why his team is better than some of the real hockey reasons why his team's better than our team, or vice versa. He just wants to loll at you basically all the time. That's his thing. Whatever. Each their own. But it's frustrating to try and talk hockey with the guy sometimes. And when the Sharks knocked us out of the playoffs, I was at the game here. It was in Vancouver. They beat us. As the buzzer was going when we got knocked out and the Sharks all poured over the boards to celebrate, I could feel my phone buzzing. And I looked at my phone, and it was Matt saying, like, "You suck a dick" or something. I can't remember what it was. It was super, super tilting. Like,
it was so tilting because he's trolling you over a series that's over. He's not trolling you during the series.
Yeah.
He's not it ceases to become trash talking, and I guess the word is trolling, because it's trash talking when the game's happening or when the series is happening.
Yeah.
It's straight up trolling when you've already won.
I've never been so pissed. He achieved his goal, because I've never been so pissed.
I think you actually didn't you like block him on Twitter at some point?
Blocked him on Twitter. I said, "Lose my number." Like, I got mad, but then I got over it and understood that he's just having fun. But anyway, yeah, no, he does enjoy Sharks hockey. Unfortunately, they're not going to be enjoying any playoff hockey this year. It doesn't look like, but anyway. In case you missed it, Zynga Poker shuts down its real money operation. Now, this was something that a lot of the poker community looked at and thought, wow, they have 32 million registered play money users at Zynga Poker. Remember when Zynga Poker on Facebook was a huge, giant thing maybe 2-3 years ago? It's weird to say remember when 2-3 years ago, but we're talking about online social games and social platforms, but this is forever ago. And it was 2 or 3 years ago that there was 32 million registered Play Money Poker users at Zynga. And everybody looked at Zynga and went, wow, if we can convert 2% of these, we've got another online poker boom on our hands. I remember there was
0.5%.
It was. Even us, we're looking at it going, wow, this could be the next boom. We're always looking for where are we going to get, new players from poker. Well, this was the holy grail. And they didn't, after, the legal issues in the USA, they didn't pursue regulated online gaming in the U.S. They launched in the UK to test the platform and test to see if they could convert some of their people over to real money, both for poker and casino. They had absolutely terrible conversion rates, and they partnered up with BWin Party to host their poker product, and just had troubles all along. They launched a new version of their poker software. I guess they were changing something to do with part. I don't know how, if they partner with BWin Party, that they would change the software too much, but they had to bring back the old version when the new version had all kinds of issues, and people didn't like switching back and forth. They came out and said they didn't do enough testing of the product, and it seemed like they didn't have enough expertise, Terrence, to approach this database that they had to turn these people into real money players.
Yeah, and it's something that we've seen is very hard in the past. PokerStars, for 10 years, as far as I know, has been trying to convert play money players into real money players. It's a tough battle because you're getting to that point where you're getting people to enter their credit card information and all that kind of stuff and play for real money. And also the motivations of social players are different from the motivations of real money players. Even the guy who's playing 1 cent, 2 cent, or 5 cent, 10 cent is motivated in a very different way than the grandma who's playing Zynga Poker on her computer. Now, the question I guess I have, or the part where it gets confusing for me, because I haven't necessarily been able to follow the story. I guess are they still doing their general play money model?
They are. I think there's been a big movement away from sort of Facebook games or to mobile apps.
Yeah.
It seems like that's sort of the way the industry's going or gone. So they do it, I believe, but I'm not sure how relevant it is anymore, given that people are playing on their phone most of the time. And
there's so much competition for those social games.
Yeah.
It's not just poker. You've got all these, Candy Crush and all of this kind of stuff going on. But what I feel like Zynga's actual lasting impression is that they actually, I feel like they taught PokerStars some lessons about it, because if you look at kind of PokerStars plays money, they have Zyngified their game to a significant extent, or socialized it to an extent where they're no longer going, okay, we'll drive people to PokerStars.net and hopefully they'll figure out PokerStars.com or PokerStars.eu and eventually drive their credit card. I guess they've sort of committed to that idea that's sort of a losing battle, and sort of starting to accept social for what it is. And so it seems like that's sort of the one of the lessons that's being taken out of the whole Zynga debacle in the end.
Yeah, it surprised me because, I mean, how expensive can it be, really, to, and how many, you need 0.01% of people to break even? Like, to say they're shutting it down, I mean, it's just sort of strange that they would do that. I don't know exactly how many people they got, signed over and playing on their version of B1 Party, but it's just strange. It seemed like a fertile area to go ahead and get some people, but they had it was basically a giant fail. Mm-hmm. So, in case you missed it, there was a guy. His name is Dustin Campbell, and he went and stole $420,000 in chips from a professional poker player named Matt Kirk. This is a friend of Danny Lai, and I don't know how he got into the guy's house. That doesn't say if these two were friends, but he went and stole $420K in chips. Now, I'm not sure why you're keeping $420K in chips in your apartment.
Isn't that what they have safety boxes for?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I understand why you keep it in chips, because you don't want to be filling out forms nonstop if you're a high-stakes poker player.
And just $420,000 in cash is a lot. I don't know, not that many people have held $420,000 in cash, but if you've ever had $10,000 and conceptually multiply that by 42, it's a lot of cash. It doesn't fit. No. $420K in chips is very small if you've got the right chips.
Exactly. So Danny Lai ended up tweeting that this happened. If you know of anybody, because of course he's well known in the poker community, and when he goes and tweets about it, and here's a guy unknown trying to sell a 5K chip or a 25K chip. I don't know what the denominations were, but maybe that raises a red flag for people if they raid Danny's tweets.
So before he got caught, sorry to cut you off. Yeah. Before he got caught, he sold his $420,000 in chips. I read I was watching the news video that he was able to convert about 200,000 of it into cash. So like you say, here's this guy who probably isn't a well-known high-stakes player walking around with these chips, and he's able to eventually over time convert 200,000 of that. I mean, that's hard, because I've had I go to the cage sometimes with a 10K, a 5K chip or something that's legitimately mine, and they have to call the security people to make sure that they can give me 5,000 in cash. This actually is a decent amount of impressive effort that he was able to convert half of it. Of course, fortunately for him, he wasn't able to convert all of it before he got caught.
Yeah, he sold them on January 29th, so that gives him, 5 weeks or 4 weeks, I guess, whatever it was, to
do this non-suspiciously.
That he did it, yeah. And as you said, it would be quite difficult, especially if they were 25K. I mean, 5Ks I've had, depending on what casino they're from, they're not terribly, terribly difficult, and you could probably sell them in a cash game or something like that. So, I'm not exactly sure how he did it. That would be interesting to find out. But when he was arrested, he had $40K in cash and $20K in chips. So it looked like he went through $380K, whether he still has it or has it hidden or whatever. That part is unaccounted for. The report also said that Matt Kirk was going to get it back, which kind of shocked me. I don't know how he's going to get it back from casinos, because they're not going to be jumping to reimburse Matt Kirk for lost chips if they've been cashed. I guess if they're missing and there's some sort of serial number, then they could maybe do something, but I don't exactly know how that's going to work.
Yeah, that is interesting, because he's converted into cash, but they didn't find him with the cash, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's sort of interesting. Maybe he lost it. Maybe this Dustin Campbell guy lost it in their casino.
Maybe. That's going to do it for segment one. Coming up right now is going to be the Crush Live Poker Strategy Minute. This week it is by Mr. Bartholomew Hansen. The topic is short-term steaming. After the break, we're going to come back. We're going to tackle Las Vegas food for the World Series of Poker with a couple of guests. Keep it right here. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey guys, welcome to another 2+2 Strategy Minute brought to you by CrushLivePoker.com. I'm Bart Hansen, and today I want to talk about short-term steaming. One of the most important things that you can pay attention to at the table, especially with recreational players, are people that steam in the short term. And I'm talking about people that might take a bad beat. You've seen it. You're talking about guys that play usually tight, but when they go off because they've taken a bad beat, or they've been bluffed out of a hand, they start to play suboptimally. This is something that is so extremely important to pay attention to, and it can really, really affect the way that you play a hand later on, whether it is bluff catching them or playing them for maximum value. Pay attention to the people that are losing in the short term. Now let's get back to the PokerCast.
Hey, it's Mike from the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com. 2+2 is pleased to announce the release of their most anticipated book in ages, Applications of No Limit Hold'em, a guide to understanding theoretical sound poker by Matthew Jondo. This book will give you the ability to create the bet sizings and ranges which will beat the better players. The theory in this book is not designed to be complex or abstract, but rather it's intended to be applied immediately, producing better overall results. Many confusing concepts, such as overbetting, balancing multiple bet sizing ranges, donk betting, and check raising as a pre-flop raiser, are crucial to a player's strategy, despite few players implementing them or talking about them. And after reading this book, you should be able to not only conceptually understand these ideas, but also know how to begin incorporating them into your game, and thereby successfully compete against tough opponents. At the 2+2 store, we accept all credit cards, plus PayPal and NetTeller.
At the 8-handed table, UTG min raises to 8K with 32 big blind effective. Cutoff calls with 70 big blinds, and I call with 10-9 of spades on the button with a stack of 400K. Both blinds fold. Flop comes Jack 8-6 rainbow with 1 spade. UTG bets 14K, cutoff calls, and I overcall. The turn is the ace of spade, giving me a flush draw. UTG keeps on betting, 32K this time. Cutoff calls again, and I raise to 90K. After tanking for a few minutes, UTG lets it go. Cutoff takes even longer before folding too.
Team Pro Online's Marc-Andre French Dog Ladouceur is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 PokerCast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Hey guys, this is Bart Hansen for CrushLivePoker.com. Whether you're a recreational player who wants to compete at the tables, or you're a professional and you want to increase your win rate, the material that I've produced at CrushLivePoker.com will make you a better poker player. Act now and you can subscribe for free by using the coupon code TPC11. That's TPC for the PokerCast 11 and get your first month free.
Back to the 2+2 PokerCast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. This is our food, WSOP Food in Vegas show this week, or the segment, where we're going to talk about what you should be doing with regarding food. Some people don't care about this, and they're just going to go to McDonald's every day or grab a bite at the coffee shop, whatever. But a lot of people...
or get some All-American Dave just delivered to the table.
Or just get some All-American Dave, which hopefully we'll talk to Dave in a bit about that. But, yeah, so, I mean, there's different ways to approach it. You want to get the most out of it. Las Vegas is one of the greatest places in the world to eat. Obviously, that goes without saying. People understand that. At most casinos, there are very, very good restaurants, and the top chefs in the world are going to have restaurants and work there. But not only that, there are some great off-strip restaurants from some great chefs as well. And if you've ever watched shows on the Food Network, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, they're often in Vegas. I think Guy Fieri's actually from Vegas, and he knows the city quite well, so he's done a lot there. But we're also, right now, we're going to bring in our old friend, Gobbo, Mr. Jimmy Fricke, who writes a blog online called Jimmy Eats Vegas. If you've ever been lucky enough to be shown around some of the hidden gems of Las Vegas's food scene, I'm proud to say that he took me out last time, and he's a guy who knows exactly what he's talking about, and has probably had some bad meals, but had some great meals as well. Jimmy, welcome back to the Pokercast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be back.
That was fun. You took us, it was actually me and Alan Boston. We were at the 2+2 party, and you took us all. I think Bugstud was there. We ended up at Chata Thai.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Favorite places. It was an interesting crowd to bring Mr. Boston in there, but it was a great meal.
Yeah, I think overall, honestly, Chata Thai might be the best restaurant in town. When you include everything together, like if you want to spend $1,000, you could probably have a better experience. But when you include price in it and location and hours and everything, it's overall just the best place to go. And certainly during the World Series, since they're open till 3 a.m., after the day ends, you can go, and it's a super chill place to like hang out, get wine, get some great food, hang out with people. It's great.
Yeah, what's the other Thai restaurant in Vegas? The popular one, Lotus of Siam.
Yeah, Lotus.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Lotus is, certainly like the most famous, and to be honest, I feel like they've suffered a little bit because of that fame. The chef there is an expert for sure. The guy who started Chata Thai was actually the sommelier at Lotus, and Lotus has won something like 10 or 11 wine awards, like best wine in Vegas, and that was all because of the work of this guy. So he started his own Thai restaurant, which focuses on wine and how it works with the food. And even though I don't drink, I think the food is honestly just a bit better than Lotus, because Lotus has no focus whatsoever.
Yeah, I have a friend who was a serious wine connoisseur, and he was saying that Lotus Siam, this would have been a couple of years ago when this guy was there, saying that they just have some of the absolute best values. Now, you on your blog, you actually mentioned, you've got it broken down by each cuisine, which is awesome, because that's the way it should be, because everybody will say, what's the best Mexican, what's the best whatever.
Exactly. That's why I started the blog, is because people constantly ask me, what's the best of this cuisine, what's the best of this, and I wanted to be able to have a page and just direct them straight to it. Like, read this, it'll give you the best of each category, and, because people would ask me, like, best barbecue, and I have to answer that question, like, 3 times, and eventually it just got annoying to, like, rewrite the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, highly recommend that you check out that blog. It's very prominent on JimmyEatsVegas.com. You just mentioned barbecue, and I saw with great pleasure that you recommended Roll and Smoke Barbecue, which I went to many, many times during my time in Vegas. It's in a pretty bad part of town, or at least a part of town that you wouldn't feel like you would walk through. It's right next to all the strip clubs. It's basically, right on Industrial Road, next to all the strip clubs. Not somewhere you'd want to, but if you want to just pull in there,
I'm not sure if you use the word bad if it's near all the strip clubs. But
well, whether you want to stumble in there drunk with a half of your bankroll in your pockets is another story, I guess, is what I'll point out. But all of your recommendations, I'm looking Mexican. You've got Bonito Michoacan, which I absolutely love. Mint Indian Bistro. It's a great 5-minute read, and if you're going to Vegas, I'm basically I'm the same as you, because I've got all my friends asking me where should I eat Thai, where should I eat Mexican, where should I eat whatever, and I'm just going to send them your page, because I find no faults with any of your recommendations. Everything that you said is places that I love as well.
Well, thank you. I try to keep it positive. I try to not say, like, don't go here. I'd prefer to say just go here, because to be honest, Vegas is unique because there's so much tourist traffic. There are lots of really bad restaurants that source great ingredients, especially in strip casinos, that succeed even though they don't really do that well, just because the quality of the ingredients kind of carries them. And there are lots of really good restaurants that no one goes to except for the locals. And places like Chata, places like Cornish Pasty Company is another one. They're great little sometimes locally owned places. Cornish Pasty actually has places in Arizona. But they're great little places that no one knows about, and they deserve our money. Like, they're making great food for very little cost. They're great places to hang out. They have great people working at them. And to be honest, it's a little bit sad that people don't know about them, especially during the World Series where everyone is just begging to like give all these great places their money.
Yeah. So, okay, let's take it back to the approach of people who are coming out to the World Series. There's different types of people. There's guys coming out for extended stays, and there's people coming out to play in one or two events, stay 4 or 5 days, something like that. For the person that's staying 4 or 5 days, what I would suggest is you don't really need to be staying in a Airbnb or somewhere like that. If you can get a decent room, we talked about where to stay. So you can stay in a casino, maybe have a rental car, whatever. If you're staying for a long period of time, that's different. I think what you need to do if you're staying maybe more than a week or near a week is to get a place with a kitchen. Because you want to be able to not have to get up and go down to the casino to find your breakfast. You want to have something healthy. You want to have a fridge. You want to be able to, cook some eggs, whatever you want to do. And especially if you're there to play poker, you want to be in the right mind frame instead of, running around ding, ding, ding and standing in lineups for an Egg McMuffin, whatever. You're in you're getting mentally prepared. You're in your suite or a hotel room, whatever you're at, with a kitchen, like we were mentioning Palms Place's kitchens. I think it's a real good idea to try and look for a place with a kitchen. Now, that doesn't mean you have to eat all your meals there. But I think for me, for when I do that, the most important meal for me there is breakfast, and to have a lot of stuff, go to Whole Foods and get some good breakfast options. And then when you're out and about in Vegas, you're in a tournament, or you're out at night after the tournament with some friends, then you can start thinking about your other meals. But also there's different ways you can do it, right? So, Jimmy, I don't know, do you break down as far as price goes, or is it you're not really concerned too much about the different price ranges?
I mention, I'll judge a place based on like the kind of bracket that it's in. I just put a review up for Pop's Cheesesteaks. It's not like fine dining at all. But if you want something cheap, after a day ends and nothing else is open, it's a great place to go. Because the city is all about like late night food, but after a certain point, after like 3 or 4 a.m.,
we lost.
Place to go for pretty cheap food.
Okay, he's back. Good. Sorry about that. We lost you for a quick sec, Jimmy. One of the other things is, and I mentioned it off the top, is I really suggest people try and find places, and hopefully your website and Yelp and other things are going to do that, away from casinos. Because if you get stuck eating casino food all the time, and I think about the Rio, when I did spend a lot of time in the Rio, it just got to be such a chore having to find a meal inside the Rio over and over again. And, I think it's really important for people to get out and look around non-casino type things. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer that all the best food in Las Vegas is in shitty strip malls. I think there are very few really good restaurants on the strip these days. I mean, there are a few if you really want to pay a bunch of money for them. But as for a place that you can go, just for lunch or just for dinner and not have to think and make it an experience, then almost all the best places are off the strip. But Vegas is one of those places it's really hard to get anywhere without a car. So if you're stranded on the strip without a car, you're not going to really enjoy your visit that much, and you won't think that it's got great food. But if you take the time and make the effort to find the real hidden gems around town, I think you'll find that it really is one of the best cities in America for food.
I love that you mentioned strip malls, because you're absolutely right. All the best meals that I've had in Vegas are in strip malls, and that's true for a lot of America. There's an economist, an author named Tyler Cowen, who's very popular. He writes the Marginal Revolution blog, and he's actually got a book about how to eat, basically. And he's pointed out that the reason why strip mall restaurants are so often good is because they've got low overhead. They've got much lower rents. If you've got a restaurant and at the Bellagio or at the Wynn or something, you need to kind of stay with the tried and true stuff. So these strip mall ones they're willing to sort of increase variance in poker parlance and experiment with that stuff. And once in a while, you get a fantastic gem like a Lotus of Siam that's located in a bad part of town. Or you mentioned Kabuto Sushi, which I've actually never been to, but I'm excited to go to after reading your blog. And that's also in a strip mall somewhere. The strip mall stuff is so important, but there's also like you said, logistical issues with getting to these places sometimes.
I'm going to actually take a second and just talk about Kabuto specifically.
Okay.
I am going there tonight to write an in-depth review, actually. I have a reservation for 8:30 with some friends. If you have never been to Kabuto and you like sushi, every second that you spend in Las Vegas has been a waste. It really is. Like, I said that Chata is probably my favorite restaurant overall. Like, Kabuto is just absolutely incredible. Like, I do not know how the food is simply that delicious. I think anyone who says they're a sushi fanatic and hasn't been there and they're in Vegas often, like, is making a gigantic error. You need to go. You need to try to get, like, if you can afford it, get the biggest tasting menu they have and order some of the Otoro as like an add-on near the end of the meal. Because really, that place is the perfect example of like the hidden gem, like the diamond in the rough kind of thing. And to be honest, I've gotten to go there a bunch recently because no one's ever been there. And I know a few people who actually call it secret sushi, and they don't like to tell people about it because they want to be able to get reservations there. And
that's so
that to me is so unbelievably selfish. Like,
not just for the people who don't get to experience it, for the restaurant. This is a restaurant that you love.
You have to keep it in business.
Like, restaurants are very, very high variance businesses, and to basically gamble this restaurant's future on your ability to get a table is completely ridiculous. These people work really, really hard and deserve all the money that they can possibly get. And a place like Kabuto, if it closes because people aren't telling people about it, then I don't even know what to say. Like, we will have lost like literally one of the best restaurants that has ever existed in this town.
That's really amazing. Well, first of all, hopefully getting the word out on this PokerCast a little bit, and you via your blog gets people there a little summer. But is it amazing at all, or weird to you that you're that the best sushi that you've ever had is in the middle of a desert? Is that a little bit strange?
It is very strange, yes. I mean, to be fair, we're close to San Francisco, but I believe that they source all their fish directly from Japan. I could be wrong. I think some of it may come from, I think they serve like Scottish river trout sometimes, but all their fish is just like, this is what we have, this is what's like brand new, because I think they get all their fish like that day. They spend a lot on sourcing their stuff. They have real Japanese uni that's just like completely different from what we know here as uni. It's really just like, it's so hard to describe because most people have something in their head when they think of sushi, and this place is so different and so perfect. I mean, I think the Otoro there, which is the super fatty tuna, is probably the best bite of food I've ever had in my life. And for me, that's really saying something. Wow. Like, that's not something I throw out that much. I don't say that all the time. Like, it really is maybe the best bite of food I've ever had.
All right. If you have unlimited budget and you're just looking for the absolute greatest meal experience, greatest environment, top wines, you have whatever. Money is not an object. Where would you suggest is the absolute best meal in Vegas?
I mean, if you're saying unlimited budget, it has to be either Joe Robuchon at the Mansion, the 3-star Michelin restaurant, or Guy Savoy, or someone just did a trip report of spending $1,000 ahead at Guy Savoy on 2+2.
Really?
In the Las Vegas Lifestyle Forum. And I mean, I think a lot of that is wine, but even still, but to be honest, if someone put a gun to my head and said, you get one meal before you die, the truffle menu at Picasso.
Wow.
It's seasonal only. I think it's going on right now. It's in the spring. I think they're going to be doing it through the end of this month as long as they can keep getting truffles. But basically, they invent a menu that goes well with truffles, and then they bring it at the table, and then they just shave, like, they cover the entire dish with truffles.
That's in the Bellagio, right?
Yeah, I think overall it's probably the best fine dining place in the city, and it won't be as expensive as a lot of other places, but yeah, I mean, it's really, really incredible. But Joe Robuchon and Guy Savoy have much bigger tasting menus. So, like, I went to Joe Robuchon for the first time and only time, like, 6 years ago or something, and it was 16 courses.
Wow.
And it took, like, 5 hours. It was delicious.
Holy mackerel.
It was crazy. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How about best burger in Vegas?
Probably Bocce Burger. I did a review recently on this on the website. I think overall Bocce's the best. It's not super expensive. They have multiple locations that have opened up in like all the big residential parts of town. They're all Japanese inspired or Asian inspired burgers. And I think overall, like for me, a burger, putting a bunch of toppings on a burger doesn't make it a good burger. Like the best burgers have the best buns. Best quality meat, best cooking, best seasoning. Because, like, whenever I go to a burger place, I always get the most basic burger they have. And if it's really good, then I know it's a good burger place.
That's the equivalent of going to a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and you'll just get the spaghetti with tomato sauce. If they're doing the basics right, they're doing everything right.
Right, because putting a piece of foie gras or whatever on a burger doesn't make you a good chef. Like, having a good seasoned burger. And it's the only place that passes the test where, you know how when you've got like a burger with like a ton of stuff on it, and you take a big bite and all the stuff kind of slides out the back? I hate that shit. I hate it so much. And this place, it doesn't happen, because all the buns are made of brioche and they squish down perfectly. So, if that bothers you too, go to Bocce Burger.
One last recommendation I want to ask you for is best late night delivery. So let's say you're back at your place in Palms Place. You don't feel like going out again.
You're railing a final table.
Or you're railing a final table.
You've done that before. You've ordered delivery while railing your brother at the final table.
No, you know who did that? It was I've done that once. The other time, oh yeah, you're right. And then the other time, Sean Deeb went to McDonald's and bought $130 worth of McDonald's food and brought it back for us.
Jesus,
that was crazy.
So do better than that, Jimmy. Do something so that Sean Deeb doesn't have to buy $130 at McDonald's.
To be honest, I don't do a whole lot of delivery, but I do know that Skinny Fats delivers, and Skinny Fats is one of them. But I don't think they do late night. So if we're talking like 3, 4 a.m., I honestly don't know if there are any good.
You gotta get out. You gotta get out.
There are. I don't know if it's Go Waiters or one of those. Vegas has one of those.
They have there's all you can or anything you want delivery. There's Roadrunner food. I don't know if that one's 24 hours.
Yeah, and they'll go to the restaurant and pick it up, and they'll slap on an extra $15 or whatever dollars surcharge to pick it up from your favorite restaurant. So that's probably your best option after hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want good food and you don't mind paying for it, then that's probably the best thing, because a lot of the things that deliver at like 4 a.m. are just crap food. Like, you don't really want to go there that much.
Right. Fair enough. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. Oh, one other thing. You were talking about strip malls and restaurants in there. And the first time I ever went to one of my favorite restaurants of all time is Rosemary's, was in a strip mall, and it's gone now. And I'm so sad that it's gone.
Victim of the 2008 recession, Rosemary's. I love.
Yeah. I've heard it's coming back. I think at the Pepper Mill.
They do that every year. They rumor that it's back like every year, and it's just like the sickest tease all the time.
Oh my god, it was the best ever. I just
the only other like semi-fine dining place off strip that I can think of is in that like a kind of classic American fare is Todd's Unique Dining. And I used to enjoy that place a lot, but I recently went there last year, I think for my birthday or something. And it had gone way downhill, which was really sad because I really enjoyed that place. But I don't know, doesn't seem like quite up to snuff anymore. And for me, there's so much good food here. It's hard for me to even try new places because I'm so comfortable with the 10 restaurants that I generally stick to, that it's hard for me to like go out and just kind of wing it, go like someone says, oh, this place open, let's go try it, because everything I go to is so good. It's so hard to like pull myself away.
Fantastic. All right, Jimmy, thanks so much. Good luck at the World Series of Poker this year. I hope you're free to take us out for another fine meal.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to take you guys.
All right, that's Jimmy Fricke. We're going to move on now. We're going to head over and talk to All-American Dave. Dave, welcome to the PokerCast, sir.
Hey, guys, thanks. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. I love your food. I just want to get that out of the way. I'm a huge fan. Since you, I guess it's been, I want to say 5 years that you've been at the World Series at the Rio supplying poker players with food. Give us an idea how it all started.
Yeah. No, it started about 5 years ago when I had, Antonio and Rast and Jennifer Tilly and Phil Locke and Greg Mueller all kind of on a dietary workout plan, and I was taking them down meals. I was cooking out of my kitchen here at Panorama and taking them down to the WSOP, and just purely from that, word of mouth just spread, and demand came up, and it kind of coincided with the same time as everybody really paying more attention to what they're putting into their bodies and how that can react, how that can have a direct impact on them at the poker tables. And man, here we are getting ready for the WSOP third year with my food truck, and the numbers and the amount of people we're serving it's insane. It's pretty awesome how it's grown.
Now, Dave, as we mentioned, it's been 5 years. Your relationship with the Rio was sort of really interesting because, first you started with just a couple customers, and then they didn't notice, and then you started getting bigger, and then everybody was seeing this guy's delivering food on the table. Oh, he's bringing in some good-looking girls to deliver food for him, and then you had a little a run with the Rio where they realized that you were kind of taking their business, and that kind of forced you to go into business with them. Can you talk about your relationship with the Rio, how that's developed over time?
Yeah, that was my mini Black Friday there. It was, I used to set up right outside of the Amazon room and get people come pick up their first meals at 2:00 break, and had about 100 meals laid out on the floor there. Just people all coming up and grabbing it, and I see the suits walking towards me. And as we grew, I kind of had the feeling that was going to come at some time. At some point, and then smack in the middle of our service, he's like, "You can't be here," and that was a tough day for me. And man, instantly every player I was serving, it seems like they went directly to Ty Stewart, and they were just not going to take no for an answer, and kind of
awesome.
The players really utilized a lot of the leverage that they do have to keep me around, and so the Rio was kind of not forced. I shouldn't say forced to make a deal with me, but they were good enough to hear me out, to hear what the service I was offering was, and how it was unique, and how it could maybe add to the layout of the WSOP and the Rio in general. And so was able to do so, and of course cut into the old profits, but we were able to make it work, and it's been a great partnership since then, actually. So
for those that don't know, I just want to set the table. What happens with Dave's Food for people who haven't been to the World Series of Poker? Dave's on Twitter. Dave's got his food truck out back. If you're sitting at a table and you're hungry and you're starving, all you got to do is hop on your phone or your iPad, send a tweet to All-American Dave on Twitter, and say, I want, the chicken sent to table X, seat X, and they'll bring it right to you, and a lovely girl at that. So it's sort of this delivery system that works perfectly. But I just wanted to get that out of the way for people who didn't quite understand how Dave's system works.
Right. It's a great use of social media in the modern age to spread that. And the way that I would find out about it, other than playing at tables and you see these bags get dropped off, is you would see other people tweeting all about it, and you're like, oh, what was this? And maybe I need to get in on that. Now, Dave, you talked about cutting your profits. Obviously, the Rio wants their cut. What a lot of people who are listeners to the show might not realize is that you actually do food year round. I used to live at Panorama. I used to see your truck in different places, including in front of the Vanderlei Silva MMA gym there. So you actually you're not just the poker chef anymore. You actually are kind of everywhere in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, poker became a great launch pad for my concept and my idea behind, eating clean, healthy food on a consistent basis, making it easy for people, really to meet their fitness goals. And, anybody that's a trainer or a fitness enthusiast or something knows that it doesn't matter what you do in the gym. If your diet is not in line, you will not get the results. And anybody that's ever experienced eating clean for a certain amount of time will attest to the fact that they feel better, they feel sharper, their mood's better. It just works. And the fact that it's now known that it's valuable to be healthy and fit and sit at a poker table for long hours, you're going to have better results. It goes across the board. It doesn't matter what business you're in. You're going to you optimize your diet, you optimize your training, you're optimizing what your body can give you, and so poker really just became a great launch pad for me, and I love poker, but yeah, a lot of people think that it's only through the WSOP, but this is what I'm trying to create is an avenue for people to live the fitness lifestyle and still have time to do other things rather than just cook, shop, and prepare food all day long, which is what it takes when you really look at cooking and eating 5 meals a day.
For sure. And, your plans are available on your website with the prices and all. And obviously the more that you commit to, the cheaper it gets per meal. We've talked about the Rio getting their piece. Are the prices on your website the same as the WSOP prices, or are you forced to raise during that time?
So what I've always done in the WSOP, it's an expensive endeavor. Thing is, we use very expensive food. And then I include taxes in the price of the WSOP and the fee that I pay the WSOP. So all that's included in the actual price that you're paying for a meal. They get their cut of every meal that's sold during the WSOP there at that location. And that's the nature of it. And it's one of the biggest things I struggle with is, it's not inexpensive food. And, If there's one solid complaint that people have is that it's expensive, but I encourage anybody to go down to Whole Foods and take a look at what grass-finished beef costs per pound. Take a look at what wild Alaskan sockeye salmon costs per pound. Take organics and just look at the price of that type of food and realize that's what we're serving on such a high level that it is what it is. But prices haven't changed with the WSOP since I started this 5 years ago, which is something that, because I don't want to charge more. But if you look at what I charged from day one to now, it's exactly the same, except for now my costs are far exceeding what they were back then. So I'm doing my best to make it accessible to everybody. And that's why I also will work with people. If somebody's really motivated to really change their life and the way they eat, I encourage anybody to reach out to me and be like, look, I can't really afford this, but I could afford this. And I'll work with anybody, because my goal with this is to make an impact on people's lives. I believe it's what a cool thing to be able to have an impact on somebody that maybe changes the way they look at food for the rest of their lives, and maybe that carries on to their family and others around them, and through impacting one person, that can impact a lot of change and really help improve people's quality of life, which is an awesome thing to be able to do.
Well, I will tell you that you definitely impacted my quality of life, because I got addicted to your spinach and mango smoothies. Those things are, they're amazing. And after I got home, because I was eating them, or I was having them nonstop when I was at the Rio last year, and I sent a tweet to Dave and I said, "Hey, what's in that smoothie so I can make it at home?" And he was nice enough to send me the exact ingredients. I've been drinking them all year, so
I got a brand new shake recipe that is going to change the shake landscape forever.
Oh, nice!
It's awesome. It's called the Oktoberfest.
Good. And I'm glad you guys made the point about expensive food being expensive, and because you're right, it isn't cheap. If you're going to go there and you're going to be at the World Series for any length of time, and this is something you want to do, make sure you buy a plan. So that's going to bring the price down, because Dave.
Yeah. I mean, if you talked about, I was there a while back, 5 years ago. See, back then, I wouldn't allow anybody to get a single meal. It just wasn't the option, because what this was about creating, I want somebody to experience what it's like to eat healthy for 2 weeks straight. At that point, I know that you're gonna buy into it's more than food. It's your fuel. It's your quality of life. It's a lot more that goes into what we produce. And it wasn't until I got the food truck that I actually had to start allowing people to walk up and buy a single meal. But that's also why a single meal is $5-6 more expensive than if you got the smallest plan. Because I really want to incentivize people to say, hey, let me just give it a shot. Let me eat clean for a week, and then I'll see how it really feels. And it's undeniable that you'll feel a difference. So that's kind of like where the structure involves. And then I believe also the more that you're eating my food, the more you're just going to be like you, an example of you're addicted to the shakes and to eating that clean food, and you realize it, and you're going to tell other people about it. And that's how we've grown. I haven't done any advertising or anything. It's just purely word of mouth, and it's been really, really just humbling and awesome just to see how it's come about. So.
Fantastic. Look forward to the World Series and having some more, trying the new shake for sure, and having some of that great food of yours. It's addicting. Once you start eating it, it's strange, but you just want to keep on continuing because you're, like you say, you have that clean mentality, and you just know you're eating well, and it's a great thing. Thanks so much, Dave. I appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, Terrence, let's go a little different direction now. One of the guys who is very good at getting the most out of Las Vegas, and we'll ask him about what he does for food, is the chainsaw, the one of my favorite humans, Alan Kessler. Alan, welcome back to the show, sir.
Hi. Nice to be on your show again.
We're doing our food segment this week, Chainsaw. I've seen your some tweets about getting past lineups and such, and trying to figure out the best places to go. For people who are coming to the World Series of Poker, what do you think? All-American Dave, we just had him on to talk about his food. It is on the expensive side. It's quite good. But what about guys who are trying to save some money? What if they're playing at the Rio? Where are they going to go?
Basically, there's only two places to go at the Rio if you're there. The first place, they have, it's like a snack bar next to the sports book with reasonable prices, and they make the food right in front of you, fresh to order. Like, you can order the same thing that you would order in the poker kitchen downstairs that's been sitting for hours, or you can go, walk for a few minutes to that sports kitchen, and they'll make like a hamburger right in front of you on the grill, which is completely different than getting like a 5-hour-old hamburger from the food kitchen. And the prices are not that bad, actually. So that would be my first suggestion. Second suggestion, if you have, if you know at least one person that lives in Las Vegas, you can walk into the buffet with that person, and they can get up to 4 people in the buffet for half price. They've been doing that for years at the Rio. It's kind of an unadvertised promotion.
Oh, wow. So a local can get up to 4 himself and 3 other people, half price. Is that right?
Yeah, all you need is a Nevada license, basically, right?
Yeah. What I used to do when they used to have the $10 cards is 4 of us would go in, and we would each pay like around $2 or $3 a piece to go to the buffet. So you could not beat that.
Wow.
But they don't do the $10 cards anymore.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say those cards were sort of taken away. This is the one table satellites. If when you played let's say you played a $500 one table, you got a receipt and a $10 food gift certificate.
You also got that on every tournament buy-in, no matter what the buy-in. Even a $50,000 buy-in, you get a $10 card.
A $10
but they
card.
stopped doing that. They have a new system now, which does not benefit players, but it's fine if you don't use any of the points and just save them. But if you use the points, you're really going to screw up your account. So I would suggest that if you play at a lot of Harris properties throughout the year and you don't want your account to be diluted, I would suggest just banking the points and not using those points and just paying cash for your food.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one more thing I think worth pointing out is I think the discount is not valid. I believe it's on Saturdays, Alan. It might be Sundays or Saturdays.
Yeah, I think it's only good during the week. Yeah, it is good only during the week. But see, what happens is if you're a regular player at Harris Properties and you're getting free rooms and different offers and things like that, and you decide you're going to walk into the food kitchen and use the money that they gave you from the tournament to buy like the bag of chips or a soda or hamburger or whatever, that goes on your account as a like taking a complimentary out of your account, and it gives you basically a zero for that trip. So you don't want to do that. You just want to bank all your points if you're like a regular customer of Harris. Because once you start using those points out of your account every day for 5 or 6, however many days you do it, you're totally diluting your value to your comp value, because you've basically taken comps multiple days without playing in the casino. So I would suggest anybody that has like a really good account at Harris Properties where they're getting free rooms and they're getting offers and bounce back and all kind of different things, do not use those points. Just bank them and use them when you're on a regular trip somewhere.
Yeah, so maybe one strategy would be if you are going to have that one nice fancy dinner at Caesars, maybe that would be a good opportunity because you're going to use a lot of points all at once. Does that sound right?
Right. You don't want to keep using like $5 or $6 a day or $10 a day out of your account. I mean, if you're actually gambling in the casino that day, then it's fine. But if you're not,
right,
you're basically saying to Harris Properties, I'm taking a comp for $10 and I'm not playing. So basically, whatever you played the previous time is averaged in with that time, and now your play value is dropped dramatically. So I would suggest never using those points unless you're actually gambling in the casino.
And Alan, you live in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so give us some of your favorite restaurants that you go to that might be somewhere where some of the listeners could go hit up.
Well, I live right by the M Resort, and they have an amazing deal there. It's like very, very small number of points, and you just walk in for a free buffet, and the buffet is really actually very good.
At the
so
M?
I go there quite a bit. Yeah, at the M Resort. It's a little bit far from
people are staying all around
Rio.
town. Yeah.
Yeah, they also have a really good pasta bar there that's very reasonably priced. But I like the Palms food court because they have a lot of different items there. And if you play there for a little bit and you ask the host, they'll give you a comp for the food court.
Oh,
to any of those, even like McDonald's or any of those Nathan's. That I forget what the name is. Earl of Sandwich. There's also a Panda Express. So basically, you can walk in there, and if you're gambling, they'll give you a comp for the food court, which is pretty fast, and it's also something that you know what you're going to get. It's not a mystery. So I like that one, but their buffet is pretty disgusting. So I would suggest not to ever go in the Palms buffet.
Now the best buffets in town. Give us your top 3 buffets.
I really like the M buffet. I like the Bellagio buffet, but the problem is when I go to one of their tournaments, nothing ever changes. So you can only go maybe 2 or 3 times because it's the exact same buffet every time, and you just get tired of it. The Wynn has a pretty nice buffet, but it's really, really high price. So unless you can get comp to that, it's like $50 a person or something. But I mean, the quality of the food there is amazing. And another one I like is the Aria buffet, which is a little bit lower price than Wynn. It's also pretty nice. The Cosmopolitan one is very pricey, and the food is a little bit too exotic for me. But I get comp there a lot for the buffet. They send you in the email and stuff to come for a free Wicked Spoon buffet.
Yeah, if you like desserts, the Cosmo is probably a good place to go because they've got one of the more extensive dessert option ones.
The food is really, really exotic there. I mean, you have to really like, strange kind of food there. I mean, I can't even describe it.
They've got bone marrow. You're probably not a bone marrow guy. I love bone marrow, but that's one of the very prominent things that they've got at the Cosmo. That's probably one of the weird things you're thinking of.
But they do have a lot of promotions there. Like if you look around, they have buy one get one free, or they'll give you, if you've played, they'll send you things in the mail for 2 free buffets, which is worth like $100
just to walk in.
You can never get that from the Wynn. The Wynn is much more tough on their buffets. But it seems like the Cosmopolitan is very aggressive on giving people buffets.
So is that before you start playing? Like, so people who are coming out want to find food coupons and such. Would you suggest going around to the different casinos and signing up for the players' cards because you just get stuff without even playing?
No, they don't really do that much anymore. You might get like one free buffet somewhere, but if you play a reasonable amount at Cosmopolitan or very, very small amount at the end, you get a free buffet. Like places like South Point or Gold Coast or Orleans, they'll give you a free buffet, but the buffet, it has no value. It's like it's like food you wouldn't even want for free. So the Rio buffet is actually pretty nice, and that half price deal is amazing during the week. Like they have one of those bars Japanese bars where they'll make anything you want fresh made right off the grill. They have like all different sections. It's a seafood section, Italian, everything. I mean, for like $10 or $12 and it's half price, you can't beat that.
That does sound
right
good.
In the building.
Alan, thanks so much. I appreciate some of those tips. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about chopping the 8 game with my brother the other day. Was he a tough negotiator?
Who, Dan is your brother?
Yeah, Dan Idema, yeah.
Yeah, see, what happened was I had a pretty decent chip lead over the other 2 people, And they have a weird chop system there at the Commerce. And they calculated the chop, and the guy, even when he calculated it, he said, this favors the person with the chip lead, which was me. I said, I really don't care. I said, I have a flight at 8 o'clock in the morning. I have to drive all the way back to Las Vegas. It was already like almost 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I was going to get home at like 2 o'clock in the morning and then have to be on a flight at like 8 in the morning. So I said, listen, I don't care. If you guys want a little bit extra, I know this formula is not accurate, so I'll give you a little extra. So Dan said he wanted 1,000, and OA said he wanted 600, which both seemed reasonable. So I was kind of out of it, and both numbers seemed reasonable for both people. So I agreed to that, and it winds up that after giving them each 1,000 and 600, I actually finished like $200 less or something than Dan, and I never would have done that deal where I would finish with less money for finishing first.
So
but they totally confused me with the numbers. I was in such a panic to get out of there and get home, and then it wound up. I got home like 2-3 in the morning and had no sleep. So, but I really feel like 8 game is my strong point. I mean, I final tabled the 50K 8 game last year at the World Series, so.
Sure.
I did have a couple lucky hands at the end. I made a full house against Joe Hatchin's rolled up jacks. I started with ace 5, 6 of spades, and he opened with a jack. Usually somebody has 2 jacks in that spot, and 7th bet 8 or better.
Yeah.
So I 3-bet, and we're basically heads up. So the next card I buy a 5, and he buys nothing. And I continuation bet because it looks like I have a low hand. He calls. Then I buy an ace. So now I have aces and 5s, and my board is like ace 5, whatever. He's got jacks, whatever. So I bet. He calls. The next card is an ace. So now it looks like I have aces up with a low draw, but actually I have aces full house. So I bet. He calls. The river, I bet. Again, he calls, and he has 3 jacks, and he never made a raise the entire hand with rolled up jacks. But those when you're playing those kind of stakes, it's a big pot.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was one of the key hands. But I did, I hold my own in those tournaments. Won quite a few of those for us in 8 game tournaments.
Indeed. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time, Chainsaw. Hope to have you back soon.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
So that's going to wrap up our food portion of the preview to the World Series of Poker. I hope people...
a lot of food.
Yeah.
You see me halfway through Jimmy Fricke, I had to stop and start eating lunch.
Nom. I hope people that aren't going to Vegas don't find that too boring. But for people that do, I hope some people get some tips out of that. We're going to intro a new segment. Actually, we're going to do this week as the very first one. This is the Pokercast Daily Fantasy Sports Strategy Minute. We do have a Poker Strategy Minute, of course, with Crush Live Poker. This one is just I'm asking people who are very good at daily fantasy sports to come in and give us, guys who like to dabble around in it a little bit, some tips on how to get better at it. So our first one is a bit of an intro to it. This week is from Joe Tall of 2+2. He's going to talk a little bit about getting into daily fantasy sports and how to get better. This is the first installment of the PokerCast Daily Fantasy Sports Strategy Minute. We'll come back after the break. We're going to go to the Isle of Man and do some more in case you missed it. Stay with us. You're listening to the 2+2 PokerCast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hi, this is Joe Tall for BetAmerica.com and the 2+2 PokerCast Fantasy Sports Minute. Daily fantasy sports is exploding. I would equate it to the way poker was back in 2006 or 2007, where there was just a large influx of people into the game. And with that comes a lot of sharp players and a lot of great tools that are developing. Make sure that you can find these tools, and even a good place here on 2+2 is the Fantasy Sports Forum. And just like poker, we need to have bankroll considerations. I would recommend about 10 to 15% of a bankroll on any given slate, and 60 to 70% of that should go into cash games, the smaller field, 5, 10, 3-player heads-up games that are not considered large tournaments. Large tournaments, just like poker, have a lot of variance, and they are high risk, high reward. I also recommend finding the sport that you love and studying it. Look at how the coaches are using the players. Look at how the players are performing and when they're used and who they're up against and how their opponents perform. Keep refining your process and ignore the results. Start small and work hard. Come visit us over at the Fantasy Sports Forum on 2+2. This is Joe Tall signing off for BetAmerica.com and the 2+2 PokerCast Fantasy Sports Minute.
This week on CrushLivePoker.com's Crush Live call-ins. You could get a fold, possibly, if a club came in and he checked and you shipped. I mean, if he only has 700 left, that's pretty tough for him to call, with like 2 red kings if you ship a club on the turn. I don't know. I mean, you gotta gauge the guy and gauge if you think that there is fold equity or not. If you want to improve your game, check out Crush Live call-ins every Sunday at 4:45 Pacific time on the CrushLivePoker.com channel on Twitch.
500 Zoom 6 max, 370 big blinds deep. I open button with the min raise with P9 of clubs. Greg Merson calls on the small. Flop comes deuce 4 queen with diamonds flush draw. He leads 1750 and I raise to 55. He 3-bets to 172 and I call. Turn is a brick, deuce of clubs, and he bets 2/3 of the pot. I call. River is a king of hearts, leaving the flush draws missed, and Greg overbets the pot big, betting 1,470 into $785 pot. I felt like he might be pushing me off my hand, so I called and was good against his 10-9 of diamond.
Team Pro Online's Mikhail Inasai-Shalamov is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 PokerCast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2plus2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month. Okay, people, most of the kittens have perished. There are a few left you can save, though, and here's how to do it. Get involved with the PokerCast by emailing your questions, suggestions for the show, or even record a sound clip. Adam will be using the best ones on the air. Well, let's face it, probably the worst ones as well. I can see you there at your computer. Send an email right now. Totally disagree with one of Adam's takes last week? Send an email. Love last week's interview? Email. Want to know how much cash Adam has on him right now? Email. PokerCast at 2plus2.com is the address. Ship the funny to Adam today.
Welcome back to the 2+2 PokerCast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. That is our food preview for the World Series of Poker this year. So, T, we've done lodging, food, single table satellites. What do we got left?
How to win at poker, but I guess we're the wrong guys for that.
Well, we're good at winning poker 7 years ago when Party Poker did.
Ladies of the night.
That's something. Butter not available, unfortunately.
I'd like to do at some point a sort of a physical preparation, and we got into this a little bit with Dave, who's obviously an expert in this field, but I like to do sort of physical and mental preparation stuff. We talked about some of that with JC as well, and there are a lot of guys out there who it's a long grind that 7 weeks, and there's a way to get yourself in the right mindset and feed yourself the right way and do all the right exercise things and all that kind of stuff. So that might be a topic, but if there are people out there who want to have more questions about the World Series, send them our way. Maybe we'll make it into a segment.
I think maybe I was going to say cash games. The approach to cash games might be a good one.
I plan to play a lot more cash games this year, so that'd be great.
Yeah, and what's available and the approach to take as far as bankroll size, etc. So maybe that's something we can do. We could do an approach to cash games. In case you missed it. The World Series of Poker, speaking of it, is changing the upcoming online bracelet events at this year's series. So, as we talked about when the schedule came out, the World Series of Poker this year is including an online event, an online bracelet event in the schedule. Where you're going to be playing. I want to say it's a 1K. Is that right, Terrence? Do you remember? I think it's a 1K.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is a 1K.
And originally they were going to bring back the last two people and play heads up in the Rio for the bracelet, which, you like the idea of incorporating both.
Well, we said on the show that it was bizarre that it was going to be the last two and not the entire final table.
Exactly.
But, that was my main criticism, saying, why would you wait until it's the last two? Everybody likes playing live final tables. Why not do that?
Which, obviously, they were listening to our show and our incredibly smart opinions, so they are now going to bring back...
It's amazing they don't do it more often.
Yeah, they should just return the company over to us. They're going to bring back the last 6 players and play the 6-handed final table of the 1K No Limit Hold'em online bracelet event at the Rio. They're going to allow a day off for travel. You would think most of the people are going to be in Vegas that play this event.
Well, you have to be in Nevada, so unless you're in Reno, you kind of have. Yeah, and even if you're in Reno, it can't be that hard to get on a plane if you're going to play for a bracelet and a bunch of money. But yeah,
right. So. But that's the thing, for the November 9, I'm pretty sure that I think they fly everybody business class from wherever they are in the world back.
Yes, Ty Stewart made a point of that, but yes.
Yeah, so let's say, this person is in northern Nevada in some little town who ends up banking this thing or coming in the final 6. He's got a day to get there. He does. I'm guessing the World Series of Poker is going to pay for his airfare to get him over there.
I guess so. Or he can make the drive from Elko or wherever he's coming from.
Whatever city it is. And yeah. So I like the idea. I think it's better if you're going to do it that way to have the last 6 come back. It's going to make it more interesting, I think, for the people around the World Series of Poker, too. Rossco, thoughts? Are you going to play the 1K online? That's, you're an online guy now.
I'm not a great online tournament player. I don't think. I was even thinking this Sunday, actually, that I might not play the 9 million guarantee.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened, by the way, with the stream last week?
The stream was good.
Yeah, you played the tournament and you had 6 or 7 people watching?
Yeah, something like that.
That's good.
I think it would get more. Sundays aren't the greatest day to stream, obviously, because
you're up against
fucking the world is streaming. So it's good. I mean, we have I have some devoted Sunday viewers, which is good.
That's
I think
good.
Amarth, fan of Ross.
Fan of Ross.
Yeah, he's there
a guy
all the
fan
time.
of Ross? That's
There's
great.
What was it? His name's Conrad. He's from Poland.
Nice.
And then there's a few other guys that are in there every week, and so it's fun. I'm happy if those guys show up.
Yeah.
I don't.
You've got to start somewhere.
So clearly, we have to move the invitational so that Ross, so that Ross can get his improved fan following. We got to move this long-standing tournament and make sure that there's less competition for Ross, so he can be the next Jamie Staples or Jay Carver.
That's right.
Saturday night.
How about a Rossco report? You want to do a little Rossco report?
Oh yeah. Well, the last 2 days, okay. Tuesday night, I went on a horrific downswing at
Playing
online
what?
PLO.
50 cent dollar?
10.25.
10.25 cent Zoom PLO.
Zoom PLO. Yeah, I was doing well. Well,
this is your crack. Okay.
Yeah, basically. And I did whatever that day, and then I put in a session, and I lost in like an hour. I lost like 20 all-ins in a row.
Wow.
It was like and I wasn't getting it in bad. Like I was just like, it was just one of those times where you're just doom switched.
Yeah.
So I'm super tilted. And the funniest hand I've ever played in online PLO came up.
Oh.
Where it got raised under the gun. It got 3-bet. So I call on the button with the 4, 6, 8, 9. And
it's already hilarious.
As you do.
As you do.
As you would do.
Guy calls out of the big blind, and under the gun raiser calls. So it's 4 ways.
Yeah.
Board's 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
I flop gin.
Yeah.
There's a flush draw on board.
By the way, most hilarious bad beat type PLO hands start with I flopped the nut straight.
Yeah.
Yep. With the 2 flush on board.
Yeah.
So I'm so tilted at this point. Big blind just goes ahead and leads out for like three-quarters pot.
Yeah. As you do.
Under the gun, and the other guy folds. I pot it. He snap calls. The turn is another 7 that brings the flush.
Oh, so there was a flush draw. So the worst card in the deck rolls off.
Pretty much the worst card in the deck. He insta fucking pots, and I'm so mad, and I go to slam so sick into the chat.
Yeah.
And I forget in that moment that S is my hotkey for call. And we're both like 200 big blinds deep.
No.
Yeah. So the river bricks out.
Yeah.
And he checks to me.
Of course he does.
He checks to me with like $2 behind. I bet $2 and he folds.
What? He was getting 4,000 to 1 or something?
Yeah.
That's not a real hand.
That's funny.
It is a real hand. I was laughing to myself for like 25 minutes, and all the tilt
so
just
you were
went
fold.
away so fast. I was going to fold.
No, he was calling for the $2 bluff equity, Adam.
No. I'm talking about the turn. I'm saying on the turn when he...
so he's calling to bluff
I was going to fold.
$2 on the river.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, on the turn I was going to type so sick into the chat and then fold.
Yeah.
And
snap call.
And I call and get insane value.
That's great.
It was so funny.
Nice.
That's an amazing story.
And then, so last night, and then, that session didn't end up going well. Overall.
Well, if you're calling 3 bets with the 4, 6, 8, 9, I'm guessing it's not going to go well. Yeah.
Yeah, and another hand of that session, I may have called off 200 big blinds with the old 3, 4, 5, 7 with one suit pre-flop against 2 people for like an 8.5 buy-in pot.
Obviously, they both had aces, so you had it.
I'm not going to lie and say I've never done that.
It was. I was up against 2 super high card hands.
Yeah.
I flopped the straight and the only front door flush draw.
Yeah.
And get runner full housed.
Oh.
For
gross.
That was So that was fun.
This is Rossco Report is now Bad Beat Report.
No kidding. Jeez. I got all the money in bad, and then I was ahead, and then I lost.
Yeah.
That's what that sounded like.
Yeah, that was, But it's still a pretty sick hand. Probably the biggest pot I've ever played at 10.25
And then you paid off a girl. You leveled yourself in live PLO?
Yeah, so last night I played, I got 2 hands from last night.
Okay, let's go.
So I sat down at...
PLO.
Well, no, I sat down at 1-2 no limit first.
Okay.
Because that's what
that's your bread and butter.
It's the lower variance route, and so I'm sitting at 1-2. I've only been there for like 20 minutes or so. I've won a couple of hands, and this guy, older guy, the only thing I've seen him do is call a 3-bet out of the small blind. He called like $45 with pocket threes and flopped a set and stacked a guy who had ace king.
Okay.
And
he likes small pocket pairs.
Yeah. So he limps around to me. I'm on the button with king queen of spades. It's like 5 limpers or something. I make it 15 on the button. Everybody folds back to him, and he's 2 to my right. And he calls the 15.
So it's you and him heads up.
It's me and him heads up.
King queen suited, okay.
Yeah. So
flop.
The flop is ace 4.
Okay.
And he checks to me, and I don't know. I figured I'd go for a delayed c-bet.
Oh, you check behind.
So I check behind.
Okay.
He checks again.
Turns a blank.
The turn is a 8.
Okay.
So ace 4, 8. I have king queen of spades.
Delayed c-bet.
Yeah. So he checks again.
You bet like 22.
I bet 20.
Okay.
He calls. And the river is a 9.
Okay.
And
no flush, no nothing.
No nothing.
Checks again.
And no, he donk leads. He donk leads 40.
Okay.
And I was like,
your hand was in the muck?
No, it was so, I don't know. I figured he was so polarized that
he's not. What you're saying, he doesn't have a 9 in this spot.
No,
He's either got like ace 8 or blank or air.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably leveled myself thinking that he was being tricky with me.
Okay.
But I figured he was only leading like the nuts or complete airball.
Okay. And you beat air.
I have no pair. So
I would love it if he was bluff. You turned like a 4 into a bluff or something. But anyway, okay, yeah. So what happens?
Yeah. So I try to make a hero call.
Yeah.
And
what's he got?
He has ace-9.
Ace. Okay, so just the nuts, nothing serious.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think of that?
Well,
hand?
I mean, like you said, it's an old guy. You're gonna, pigeonhole him. I don't know if he's really gonna. What air does he have? Like ace 4. I'm trying to think of what area he would have on the flop, other than. And is he going to wait for the river? If he does have that air, and he wants to make a move, is he going to wait for the river to do it? Maybe, but I don't know. I think I'm mucking the river when he leads the 40.
Yeah.
I don't mind the continued. I actually, if you're going to try and pick up the pot, betting on the flop there is probably the way to go.
That's what
because that's pretty.
Last week's CLP strategy minute was delayed C betting.
Delayed C, exactly. You listen to the bar too much. Indeed.
Yeah. So the PLO hand.
Oh yeah.
So I moved over to PLO after that. I won a couple pots. It's 1-2 with a 5 bring in.
1-2-5,
yeah. With an uncapped buy-in.
Okay.
So I sit down with like 400. I'm down to like 350 when this hand comes up. We're playing 3-handed at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And we have one guy who seems competent and one
Mississippi straddle, by the way. PLO means Mississippi straddle, right?
There is a straddle. It's a $10 straddle.
But it's not on them. It's 3-handed.
Optional.
So yeah,
it's optional.
Yeah.
I'm pretty embarrassed about this hand, but we'll go through it anyways. So this Korean girl, she's about my age. She really has no clue what she's doing. She thought that she had a full house when she had deuce-4 in her hand, and she flopped deuce-4.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
Then you're playing 3-handed PLO.
She clearly has money to burn because she's learning PLO.
Okay.
So the guy to her right is obviously she's a very cute girl, and the guy to her right
trying to pick her up
is really just giving the whole world of strat to her.
Oh yeah.
For an hour.
Because that's what gets into the girl's hearts.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. So he's just explaining every hand, like pre-flop ranges, where you should play, blah, blah, blah.
That guy needs to die.
This is the most romantic pickup I've ever heard. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
So it's pretty ridiculous. I've seen her. She called off with an underpair on a paired board, and he's telling her like what hands are good, and she's like she's showing her hands to him, and he's like reviewing them after the hand, like right at the table, and I'm getting pretty tilted after this, and I'm starting to like explain reverse blocker strategy to her, and backdoor quad draws.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I have it's 3-handed. I have 3-5 king queen.
Okay.
No, yeah, 3-5 king queen with a suited king on the button, and it goes limp, and then she raises. She says this hand has potential, and she raises to 15. I call, and he calls.
And you have
I have 3-5 king queen.
3-5 king queen.
Yeah.
3-5 king queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
3-5 queen king, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So the flop is 3-5 jack.
Okay.
With 2 spades.
Okay.
And
Sanda has potential.
Yeah. So she leads out for 40, and I
call.
No, I didn't call. She said this hand has potential, so I figured that she might have an overpair, maybe a flush
draw. Are you in position
draw.
or is she in position?
I'm on the button.
Okay.
So
you
I
raise.
decide to pot it.
Yeah. Okay.
And
you can bet other things than pot,
I realize this.
What exactly is your plan here if she repots it? I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. I was planning on getting it in.
Well, once he pots it, he's got 40.
Yeah, I'm pretty much committed.
He's getting most of the chips in there.
200.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought that she might have an overpair
or a flush draw. Okay.
And I was prepared to flip.
So you pot, she shoves?
Yeah, she thinks for a second and repots, and I go all in, and she
has
pocket jacks.
Top set.
Yeah.
So you're running.
You don't have a lot of the equity there.
Well, he's just finished telling her about the runner quad draw.
Oh, I did flop a backdoor flush, and I turned a queen.
I turned a queen. That's good. Yeah, fun. Well, I guess, yeah, you hit the cream.
I was playing super nitty up to that point, and then I just go and fucking, like, spew it off in that one hand.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not like we all haven't done that. So
yeah. That broke my winning track record, though. That was like the 8th session I played, and it was the first losing one.
So the key is not to go out in a ball of flames when you do break your streak.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
That's this
trying to be like somewhat professional here. But then this morning, I decided to take my busted online roll to 50 cent $1 PLO.
Yeah.
And I won 5 buy-ins in like half an hour.
There you go. Nice. That's your game. Yeah. Clearly, you need to.
I run so good at 50 cent $1.
You need to move up whether respect your raises.
I have a really good win rate at 50 cent $1.
I'm sure the sample size is huge.
It's pretty small.
In case you missed it, the Aria is hosting a 500K buy-in tournament this year during the World Series of Poker in the summer. It's called the Super High Roller Bowl, which
it's an awkward name.
That's not the best name I've ever heard, but that's the name they've given it. It is July 2nd to 4th, so just before the main event starts over at the Aria, the 500K buy-in. They're also going to have a high roller celebrity shootout at the end of June and a high roller cash game from the 30th of June to July 1st. I'm sure that cash game will probably be going all summer, but they're going to have a specific one for the people in the tournament on the 30th to the 1st. There seems to
most likely with some television.
Yeah, and Ansky came into the thread. There's a thread in NVG about it. Ansky came in and posted that he knows of a TV deal that's in the works for it. So hopefully this does get on TV. Players that have made a commitment so far, their pictures are on the website. If you go and Google them and go to the website, it's the people there are Doug Polk, Phil Hellmuth, Sorrel Mitzi, Lucky Chewy, Andrew Roble, Antonio, Kerry Katz, Daniel Coleman, Jungle Man, Fun Bobby, Jean-Robert Balland, Eric Seidel, and others. 34 seem to have made some sort of commitment so far to play in this tournament, including Tom Douan, whose face is on there, which would be kind of interesting if Dur and Jungle Man draw the same table, because, of course, Jungle Man's been trying to get Dur to finish off the Dur Challenge, of which Dur's going to lose a whole bunch of money.
I don't feel like they need to be at the same table. I don't think.
No, I'm saying if it happens, it would be interesting.
Yeah, they're in the same room. It's not like there's that many tables in this thing. It's not like 1,500 at the World Series or the opposite end of the rooms. I don't think. I think there will be something going down there, regardless of whether they draw the same table or not.
They're hoping to get 50 players, $25 million prize pool, $8.25 million for first, if that's the case. No rake, which is awesome. I mean, that's.
Well, I guess it's just a great promotion.
It brings a lot of high rollers into the Aria to A, play cash games, and B, play pit games. So it's the old school MTT, the way they used to be done to get people in the door. It's a fantastic idea, given that the $1 million one drop isn't this year. It's of course we have the one drop as a $111,000 buy-in. So having this year makes a ton of sense for the Aria. They have the cash game already all summer, so why not have the high roller MTT? What I think, T, is we should just get a Kickstarter going to stake somebody in this tournament that isn't playing. What do you think?
Yeah, that is not a Kickstarter that will get near its goal. I have supported some Kickstarters in the past. I don't know that I would support this particular one.
It'd be fun just to do it to see what would happen.
What do you think we would get out of it?
Well, and you'd have to pick. I mean, that's a good question. I think it depends on who you pick to play. I think you'd have to say who it was that you were going to use the money to play, like
Kev Math.
Exactly. But
it's been done.
Yeah, but I think more than that, I think it would have to be fun. or funny or some reason other than, I mean, I guess you could pick somebody that isn't going to play that's a really good player, Ole Shemion, somebody like that. Who knows if Ole's going to play? I'm just picking him out of the blue. But that would be a way to go. But also the humor aspect would be a way to go as well. I don't know who you pick, but maybe they didn't have anything to do with poker or, Screech from Saved by the Bell or somebody like that who you would drop down in this tournament. Might be pretty funny. In case you missed it, Martin Quadcrazes.
I have no idea.
I'm going to go with Quadcrazes. Martin,
it could be chur raises. Like it could be like check raises. Sort of looks like that. I don't know.
Chrazes?
Vaguely like that. That's CHRAZS is what we're trying to say.
That's his PokerStars screen name. His real name is Martin Ardon. He's, I believe, a Dutch player. He became the fastest player ever to reach Supernova Elite.
Wow.
He got there February 21st. A week later than he actually thought. He got the flu and only had to play 8 hours a day instead of 16 hours. Or it's actually, I think he was playing 12 hours a day. He plays, or he did play, $100 buy-in Hyper Turbo Euros, 100 euro buy-in Hyper Turbo sit and goes.
Wow!
To get his way there, he averaged 1,000 of them a day.
Jesus,
which is insane. He played. I don't know how many tables he played, but he did 3-4 hour sessions a day. So basically slept.
I wonder if he turned a profit.
He did.
Oh my God!
I believe he did. Yeah. So. Especially with rakeback, wow, or with.
Oh yeah, well, I'm talking about aside from the.
I believe he did. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe.
So that's very profitable.
Crazy.
2 months.
Crazy. February 21st is basically 7 weeks to get to Supernova Elite, people struggle to get a tenth of that the entire year. Which just shows you how much of a sicko Martin is, I imagine he's probably going to take a little break now. But I thought that was interesting that he has set the record as fastest to Supernova Elite. I mean,
so it's pretty amazing that these guys just continue to get faster and faster. I remember seeing that the VIP program manager at Stars says that this is a record that he doesn't think could ever be broken, but it seems that guys are just playing more and more tables, longer and longer sessions. Like you said, this guy is playing multiple 4-hour sessions a day, which definitely has to mess with his sleep, and just making this many decisions. Like these guys are amazing robots. I almost worry about it from like a health and wellness perspective, what these guys are doing to their brains, but obviously at the end of the day, it's their choice, and guy's going to make a bunch of money at it. And hopefully, like you said, he takes a little bit of a break, sits back, enjoys the fruits of his labor for a bit, and then just is able to grind his rake back for a lot of the rest of the year.
I mean, yeah, he says that he doesn't think it's going to be broken, but the guy he played 1,000 sit and goes a day, 12 hours a day, for 3-4 hour sessions. I don't see that as unbreakable. I don't think of that as unbreakable at all. If that's, unbreakable is a guy playing 20 hours a day for.
Oh God, let's not encourage that.
I definitely don't want to encourage that, but I'm just saying I'm not sure that is unbreakable. But and especially this guy, I mean, he could definitely break it himself.
He could break his own record. Yeah.
In case you missed it, we're going to give a little bit of a Twitch update. It's our sort of pet project these days. We're loving all things poker and Twitch. On Tuesday. A couple of awesome things happened. First off, Jamie Staples, our guest from last week, Poker Staples, he won the 109, the Tuesday 109. I think it's called the Big 109.
The Big 109,
for $19,000 while streaming. Pretty sick PokerCast karma. Just binked that as soon as I believe it was his largest score on Twitch. And that was great to see. But
it was really awesome to watch.
You watched it live?
Yeah, I watched. I logged in and I was like. Because on the sidebar 2+2, they list everybody, and I was like, God damn, there's a lot of people watching Staples. Like he must be, and it's late in the day. He ends kind of early, so obviously he's deep in something. So I log in, and he's like 5-handed in the 109. So I just watched for the rest, and he played super, super well, and he got heads up. I don't remember the guy he got heads up against, but everybody was saying...
Got in with 3s against 7s or something?
Yeah, he sucked out.
He sucked out, but it wasn't for his stack, I don't believe, was it?
No, he was like overwhelming.
Pretty big chip leader, yeah.
So the guy he was playing heads up was a super reg. That guy, he had a lot of scores. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but... he beat the guy heads up, and along with the 19.5 or whatever it was, he got another like $1K in donations.
Are you serious?
For winning? So
no way.
He got like the extra score, and he tried to chop, and the guy said he wouldn't take the chop. And then he crushed him heads up, and it was beautiful.
Awesome.
It was really awesome to watch.
Good for Jim.
He got a little emotional. He was just sitting back in his chair, like, can't believe that just happened. Biggest score ever online.
Yeah.
And like I think he might have like choked up a little bit.
A little moment.
It was super awesome.
That is cool.
Great. I was kind of moved watching it.
How are you going to spend $20,000 US in Lethbridge? I mean, that's going to be a pretty.
And
big party.
gathered from what he was saying that he lives at home too, so he might not be paying rent.
There's not a lot of rent.
Yeah, so that's
not that rent in Lethbridge is going to crush you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah, but at the same time, and the reason I wasn't watching Jamie is because I was watching Jay Carver, our boy Jason Somerville. He final tabled the 1K Super Tuesday.
Yeah,
and it was super fun to watch. I think he had 26,000 viewers at the one point at the final table, which it also made him the highest volume streamer on the entire Twitch site. Which is cool that poker comes along, because remember, Twitch is this video game streaming website that's been going for a long time. There's video game streamers that have been at this a while and had a chance to build up their audience. And Jay Carver comes along and blows them out of the water. That was awesome. Although I don't know.
I think. Yeah, so I wasn't able to see this because I was on the plane. I miss everything good while I'm on the plane. I was on the plane to Mexico City. As soon as I get there, JC says to me, "You missed the entire poker world almost imploding today because Jay Carver almost won the Super Tuesday."
Yeah,
and would have gone absolutely insane at a time where his stock is as high as it could be. He's on the front page of Twitch. You mentioned, he had the highest number of viewers, but good for him, and looks like big news for streaming.
So interesting you point that out, that the entire poker world was watching the stream, and at 26,000 people, I would think a large population was. But that brought some criticism as well of some of his plays, and I'm not sure, I haven't really followed closely, but I wonder if that's really happened before, where I watched the stream, and there was a couple of spots where I kind of went, wow, I don't think I would do that. But again, I don't have the results that he does, so I'm not going to question him and think that I know more than Jason does. But some people took to Twitter, and most notably Justin Schwartz, Stealth Monk, took some shots at his play, and wasn't too fond of some of the different spots that he got himself into.
Wait.
Shots fired.
There was some shots. Yeah, so he took some shots. Jason handled them well. Today, actually, on the stream, because PokerStars has a thing where they replay with hole cards up the final table. So Jason was running that on the stream and talking about all the different hands and looking at the spots that he got into. And one of the spots that he raised folded ace-queen under the gun, which he kind of didn't like at the time, but he kind of it seemed like he talked himself into folding. Turned out the guy had king-queen and wasn't too happy with himself. But I just thought it was interesting that he's definitely opening himself up to a lot of people taking shots at him, fair or unfair.
Yeah, I mean, there's anytime you put yourself out there, you put yourself up to the criticism. It's part of his popularity, but I think also the honesty is what people tune in for. It's a hard thing to do, and we've talked about this on the show, to sit there and play and try to justify literally every hand you play. I mean, I was looking at some of the tweets that Stealth Monk put up there. I mean, it seems pretty out of line, really. I mean, I don't know what the history between the two of them might be, or whether Stealth Monk just feels like he has the right to talk about Jay Carver, or whether it's just pure jealousy or whatever it is. But I mean, yeah, if you're not up there, streaming literally every hand you play, because I think there's a difference between this and picking and choosing hands that you play, like some coaching sites do, where you literally open yourself up to every hand that you play. First of all, it's a potentially negative EV thing to do, because the delay is short enough that people are picking up lines on you, and people are studying your game all the time if you're a popular streamer. And on the other hand, it's like I said, it's really hard for to play correctly every single hand. Almost nobody does it. So for people like that to go online and criticize Jason, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Even if you think he did play badly, you can think he played terribly. It doesn't really matter. If you're not the one out there putting yourself out there, then kind of who are you to talk? To me.
It's interesting you made the comparison to doing training videos because, of course, with training videos, you can edit them. And if you find a spot where you didn't like your play or you think maybe you played it wrong and justified it incorrectly, whatever, you can just go, you know what, I'm going to take that out. Or I'm not going to do that hand. I'm going to cut that hand out, or however you're doing the training video. With this, you can't. Twitch is live, obviously. People are watching it. I think that needs to be taken into account. Honestly, though, I don't think Justin's jealousy. I don't think that that's the case. I think Stealth Monks doesn't have a filter, and whether you like him for that or not, or you don't like him for that, that's just kind of the way he is. He's going to say, and he's going to make it personal and say people. You know, I think one of his comments was
no filter is like 2010's euphemism for asshole, right? Like
I mean, yeah, it can be. It depends on how it is, but. I don't know. I just don't. From what we had just on the show, and from what I follow him on Twitter, honestly, I don't think he's jealous. He could be, maybe, but I just don't read it that way. I just think maybe he enjoys being that guy taking shots at people.
I see all you idiots managing to make money, and I think it must be damn near impossible for me to not win. Every downswing I have, I don't lose confidence in my game, but rather confidence I withstand in poker to survive long term. I'm so much better than everybody.
I know.
I've been homeless while running 400K below EV. Oh my, oh, cry me a fucking river. Like, wow. Like, life is so hard as a professional poker player, huh?
Like, I have no problem with him calling out for plays. You know, like, what were you thinking in that spot? I think that was a bad play, whatever. But making it personal, like, I think one of his tweets was...
Yeah, and there is definitely a place for criticizing plays and stuff like that. And Twitter's as good a place as any. Or you know, we've talked about doing commentary on watching other people play, is to say, like, yeah, if you see a bad play, you can call it a bad play. But I guess there's a difference between the player and the play, right? And to me, it was unnecessary to say, like, that Jason's such a terrible player because he's making these mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. Maybe even if you do think Jason's a terrible player, what's the point in pointing out? Where is the value of that? We talk about tapping on the aquarium all the time. This is a different form of it. You know, I'm not calling Jason a fish, but if we think, and I think we all agree on this, that it's terrible to criticize a poor player, you know, when he makes a poor play at a live table, what's the difference between doing that and doing it on the internet when he's streaming and he's got tens of thousands of viewers online? There's no value in this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. If anybody has any opinions on this, hop into the thread this week and let us know what you think. I think it's a bit different in that Jason's putting himself out there as a, and I'm not saying he played bad or whatever. I'm just saying in this case, Jason presents himself as a qualified player who's teaching people and calling him out on plays. I don't have much of a problem with. I just, again, don't like to see it get personal where he says stuff like people who invested in Jason obviously were idiots or whatever he was saying on Twitter.
I know that Stealth Monk has gotten into it with Bart Hansen in the past.
Stealth Monk's gotten into it with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way he is, like him or not.
Because Bart reviewed some of his play in a 25-50 game on Crush Live Poker.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't know, there
wasn't happy about it.
Back and forth.
Yeah, maybe Stealth Monk should start streaming, and then
totally.
we can have a look at his play. Let's move on to 140 or less.
140 characters. That's it. I love hashtags. I love all of them.
Terrence Chan
needs more than 140 characters to express himself.
140 or less.
I miss Tracy Morgan. I don't know how he's doing after his car accident. I haven't heard how he's doing. My daughter and I were watching an old SNL program this week with Tracy Morgan, and I had a little bit of a moment there wishing that he gets better so he can be back entertaining us all like he's so good at.
Yeah, my roommates watch like every season of 30 Rock on Show Me.
He's the best. Tracy Morgan is so funny. Dan O'Brien, I packed 4 pairs of underwear for a 5-day tournament. Not at Real Kid Poker approved. Hashtag not so clear intention. Hashtag Bay101. So Dan O'Brien went to the tournament. Of course, Daniel Negreanu was talking about preparing yourself mentally for success. I don't know if we ever really got into that, T. I don't know. And just quickly, I think you remember Daniel was saying people should not book flights 4 days or 2 days after the tournament they're
which
playing
I've
in.
always done.
Me too. And this gets back to Daniel's whole choice center thing, where you have to mentally prepare yourself to succeed, like it's somehow going to change if you have to change a flight or something. I don't really buy into a lot of that, but I thought it was funny that Dan O'Brien was taking shots at Daniel there a bit.
The GTO approach there then would be pack all your clothes, because you might end up like owning the casino.
Right.
There you go. Exactly.
You might have to
pack everything your entire belongings.
Yeah, because you never know.
Anything could happen.
But I'm more shocked that like Dan's so confident that like nothing bad will ever happen in his underwear, that like he thinks that like for not only like 4 days for the 4 days of the tournament, but I mean I don't know. I just always pack way more underwear than I think I'm going to need, because stuff happens.
Yeah, I'm
saying.
Well, sometimes you shit your pants, is what you're saying.
that is what I was trying to say, but I figured somebody might be eating while they're listening to this.
I'm a double underwear guy. If I'm going for 4 days,
Really?
I'm packing 8.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and you might want to go to the gym. If you go to the gym, then you got your pair of underwear sweaty. Mm-hmm. You got to change. You're not going to put on sweaty underwear to play a poker tournament, are you?
No,
that's not a good way to go play 8 hours.
You're bringing baby powder, so you can powder up the John
You got to talc that sack.
Yeah, you need to talc the sack, otherwise it's going to be pretty disgusting down there.
You don't want to buy underwear at the casino gift shop.
By the way,
it's horrendously expensive.
I don't know if I think I might have done it as my favorite thing, but Lululemon men's underwear is a game.
I think you said you did say that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've also heard of this underwear that Tim Ferriss loves to pimp on his show, and I think he gets a cut of it. But basically, it's underwear that like dries so incredibly fast that you can just like wash it in the sink, and then you can bring like 2 pairs and go backpacking throughout the Andes, and like it like dries in like half an hour or something like that. So you can literally bring 2 pairs of underwear on like a super long trip.
So there's another pair of underwear out there that I have. I actually wanted to make it my favorite thing, so I'll do that this week. My favorite thing is and I don't know yet. Actually, it can't be my favorite thing because I don't know it. I don't own a pair. But there's a pair of underwear. Your favorite thing in theory.
It's your favorite theoretical.
My favorite thing in theory because it has a pouch for your sack. You have it's like
like a bra for men.
It's like a men's bra
testicle
sack.
bra. It's a testicle bra.
A testy bra. A bracle. Yeah. So I want to, if anybody's out there who's tried these, I want to own a pair of these things just to try them out. So anyway.
Will you accept used ones?
No, obviously not.
140 or less.
Next one is Jimmy Fricke. At JV Fricke, I like nostalgia, but I'm sick of people saying rebuy events got ousted because it made it easier for pros to win. The only reason they stopped is because people were stealing money from the prize pool because the rebuys were handled bad. Floor guys would literally pocket rebuy money and go dump them out later. Very little oversight. That's more than 140 characters. I think that was 2 tweets. Interesting. I've never really heard. I mean,
I've never heard that either, and it's an interesting thing. It makes sense. It's plausible. Jimmy's a guy who's been around for a while, so I have no reason to doubt him. It's interesting. We talked about this as well, and my always take on rebuy events being stopped was because they weren't juiced. And you could always juice them. That's not a thing that changed. But I always thought that was sort of the motivation for rebuys re-entries instead of rebuys. But he does bring up a valid point. Those of us who remember the old rebuy tournaments, it would just basically you hand money. It was often that you just handed money to floormen, they handed you another stack, and so you could definitely see there was an opportunity for bad things that happened. I never heard that it was, but wouldn't be surprised if he's right on that one.
And they would literally shove the money in their pockets.
Yep.
Like, I remember that being a thing. Just like, here's 1,000, shove it right into their front pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it could be mitigated a little by, having them issue you a receipt of some kind, but, now you actually have to go to a cage and go do all that, and maybe a little bit more accountability in that respect.
Yeah. Next one, Dan Smith.
This is.
I don't know this one.
I submitted these.
Well, that makes sense. I
read
sure
this
I
the
didn't
other
put
day.
this in.
It made no sense, and I laughed at it because he's replying to someone, and he says, he says, does anybody want to get a game going? And he's near Bay 101. And somebody replies and he says, I meant to play poker. If I wanted to dab and eat Nutella ice cream fudge waffle cupcakes, I'd hit you up.
Oh, well, so I don't get it.
Okay, so do you guys know what a dab is?
No.
It's basically like smoking the most condensed form of. It basically turns weed into like a high-powered drug. It's like 99% THC, and you inhale it, and it puts you on your ass. So he's obviously joking around with this guy who is clearly into the hardcore stoner lifestyle.
So he's taking shots at him. I got it. All right. At Mean Poker Dealer, every time you take a selfie behind your chips, I try to catch you on fire with my mind.
Mean Poker Dealer is a pretty funny
Twitter follow.
Account,
yeah, I do that. I take the once in a while for just to prove to people that I actually play tournaments once in a while.
That's true.
You got to take the shot.
Yeah, and also, what else are you going to do in between hands and live poker sometimes?
At Johnny B Comedy, every time I see a poker player wearing sunglasses and a backpack, I assume that the backpack only contains one item: backup sunglasses.
It's pretty clever.
Which is bad.
Mine has all kinds of random shit in it. I have it's usually like extra water, but sometimes, you bring the hoodie and it ends up being warm, or you don't bring the hoodie and it ends up being cold. So I've got that. Usually I've got like a backup battery charger. I've got like an elastic stretchy brand that I can sort of work out in between hands, or when people are tanking.
A couple pairs of underwear.
Now they'll be underwear with a ball sack.
Why not?
But you don't wear sunglasses.
Not a sunglass
I don't wear
guy.
sunglasses, no. Unless it's getting, maybe like the last level, I might wear sunglasses to get some blue light out of my eyes. But no.
Where are you listening from? Shout-outs for this week. The first one, Antoine Hunt. He listens at the movies during ads and previews, and I never thought of this.
That's bizarre.
He also thinks that we should do a bacon challenge with Ross, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Agreed. Because your pussy ass effort like 2 years ago was.
I didn't see your effort. Wait,
I'll do it.
Refer me to your effort, and
I'll crush you. I'll crush you. Son.
What is the bacon challenge?
The bacon challenge was you had to eat a pound of bacon in was it 30 minutes? I want to say no less.
How's it cooked?
Cooked in a pan, like normal cooked, yeah. It's a lot of bacon. It's hard. Believe me, I did it.
What did you actually get to? I don't remember. I think
you get hardcore meat sweats?
You got hardcore meat sweats. And at the time, I had a gallbladder issue. And stupidly, it was like 2 weeks before that, I had been to the doctor. My gallbladder was acting up. Like, I feel like an old man saying this, but he was giving me like pain pills, and because I would be like, I'd be curled up on the couch because I had like a fatty meal and I couldn't move because the pain was so intense. And I thought, this is perfect time for a bacon challenge. And I actually had to go get gallbladder surgery after I did the bacon challenge because I fucked it up so bad. Anyway, bacon challenge with Ross.
What did you get to?
I don't remember. I didn't make it. I know that. We should do that with Ross or Terrence.
Yeah, I'll do it. My gallbladder's fine.
You're not old enough yet. Listening to the show when he goes to the movie, or she, I'm not sure, Antoine, could be he, she, goes to the movies during the ads and previews. Definitely during the ads. Nothing I love to go to movies, by the way. I go to movies every week. Sometimes I'll go by myself. I'm just bored at home and I see a movie I want to go see. I'll head down to the theater and watch it. Mm-hmm. But I hate previews because the way they do it now, and I used to love previews, but the way it's done now, like let's take Hot Tub Time Machine 2, for instance. I couldn't wait for that movie. I wanted to see it. I loved the first one. I thought it was hilarious. And then I saw some of the previews, and the jokes were funny. But then you nonstop saw previews, and then when I went to see it, I realized, I knew this was going to happen. I'd seen every good joke in the movie.
Oh, no.
And it's so tilting.
But that only applies to comedies. I mean, if you're going to watch like a drama thriller, they're not going to tell you exactly, who the killer was or whatever that kind of thing is. So I feel like it only applies to comedies. And maybe it's hard because they don't want to hold back the good stuff because they want to get you to watch.
They want to get you in the movie. But
the ads is awful though, because I went to a movie in Vancouver for the first time in a while. I saw The Imitation Game last week. And it was 7:30, and 7:30 goes around, and I figure, okay, it's previews. And no, like, we just get, like, 9 ads for, like, fucking toothpaste and cars and shit. You don't get previews anymore. And I've always been a preview guy myself, but I'm not, like, if you make me watch, like, a cell phone ad or something like that, I am this close to just throwing my large, oversized popcorn at the screen.
So, there's this website. I just remembered. It's called runp.com.
RunP? Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
Yeah.
Tells you when to go.
It gives
cool.
It gives a list of all the new movies in theaters and tells you at what time you should go and take a piss.
Optimal pizza.
Yeah, that's perfect.
By the way, who
Plus
can't
TV.
make a 2-hour movie, by the way? You go take a piss before you go to the movie. Can you not make it 2 hours?
Sometimes it takes you by surprise.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a little bit of planning should be before you go. If you're going to go to a website, to a movie, to try and find the optimal time and check your you have time to go take a piss before.
or maybe you should just not drink too much during the movie. That's the other thing. I kind of treat movies like poker tournaments. You know, I know when the filtration system speed is going in there, so I'll kind of go the first 40 minutes dry so that I can, save it up for the end of the movie.
Yeah. Next shout out is to Drovsky from Newfoundland, from Newfoundland. He points out that I'm welcome on his couch anytime, and I might take him up on that because I would love to go to Newfoundland, the Maritimes. I've never been. As a Canadian, I'm ashamed that I haven't been, east of Toronto, or actually Montreal. I haven't been east of.
Do you think you would understand him if you went? Because
no, that's the best part. Like I have a Newfie buddy. He's a golf buddy. We all call him the Noof. He's a fantastic human being. I could tell Noof stories for ages, and they're all great. And I just want to, if I can go somewhere where there's lots of him, I know it's going to be a great time. So I look forward to getting into Newfoundland one day. And
your liver might not make it. We were just talking about your gallbladder, but I don't know if your liver.
I've been to Newfoundland.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place. I remember. I went on a big tour of the East Coast, and I was a young kid, and I cried when we had to leave Newfoundland.
Yes, so.
It's fun times.
Looks awesome. Last one is to Banks2334. He's from Santa Monica. I believe he is a Hollywood Park regular. He enjoyed the stories from last week about Hollywood Park. I'm sure he's got a ton of his own. But he's living in one of the greatest places, surrounded by a place I wouldn't want to live. But he's living in Santa Monica, which I love. But I wanted to talk about LA just for a quick second. We touched on it last week, T. I have a love-hate relationship with LA because I hate most of it, and I love little bits of it.
Right. Who doesn't? I mean, I think that's true for most people. And, you hate the traffic, but, maybe you love certain restaurants. And there's so much to love and hate because LA is so big and sprawling. It's almost like a little country in itself. I'm here in Mexico City, but LA is certainly one of those cities that's almost more like a country.
Yeah, I guess there's a few reasons, not just the traffic. You mentioned sprawled. Getting anywhere is a giant exercise with or without traffic. The weather tilts me. Like having grown up in Vancouver and having seasons, and obviously we're a little bit too far skewed towards the rain, as you will attest, running around the world trying to avoid it.
I'll trade our weather for Southern California weather.
But I don't like it. I honestly,
I
can't stand it. And we're talking about some stories from when I was at Hollywood Park. I remember living in that Crown Plaza hotel for 6 months straight, and every morning getting up and seeing sun. Winter, spring, summer, fall, whatever it was, tilted to hell at me. Like 3 months into it, I was like, could you rain one day? Just once.
You have reverse seasonal effectiveness.
It's weird, yeah.
That's amazing.
I wanted it to rain, and I was the only one, I'm sure, in the entire city that did.
I will say it's nice when it rained in Las Vegas. I lived for 2 years in Las Vegas, and when it rains in Las Vegas, it's actually very refreshing because it smells different. That new rain smell that you often get the first time it's rained in a while. It's been so long in Vegas that the new rain smell actually smells like much more pungent in Vegas because it's been like 95 days without the rain or whatever it is. So I see where you're coming from on that, but yeah, I would swap Vancouver. If Vancouver had Southern California weather, we would have 7 million people living there.
Probably. Well, we wouldn't have green, and I mean, it'd be a desert, right? So
yes, that's also true. We wouldn't have that. But yeah, it's hard to remove the rainforest from the rain.
Indeed. So let's head over to the Isle of Man, and let's bring him in. Matthew, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. How are you guys?
Very excited. I don't often get excited for online tournaments. I'm going to be honest. They're not my favorite thing. I'm a cash game player, but the 9th anniversary Sunday, million this Sunday, $215 shot at the Riches. It's got to be pretty exciting around the Isle of Man these days.
Well, this is going to be one of the biggest weekends of the year, right? It's one of our biggest tournaments. We expect it to be one of the biggest Sunday Millions ever in the history of the company. So, yeah, we're very excited, putting a lot of work into it, and can't wait to see how it all unfolds on Sunday.
Any personal guesses, Matthew, at the prize pool? $9 million guaranteed, obviously. What do you think we're going to hit with this thing?
I think it'll be around that number, around $9 million, probably.
Not a ton more. It'll be right there.
I think it'll be around it. Yeah, it's very, very hard because so many people register at the at the very end. So it's always it's hard to predict these type of things. But I think it'll be right around the guarantee.
I would say you guys are really good at predicting these kind of things because it always seems to be right near the guarantee for them. So especially with such a large prize pool, you've got so much data to work with. $9 million guarantee, $1 million for first is the guaranteed. I can't wait. Going to definitely jump into that. Roscoe, you're not sure if you're going to play that, right?
Who knows? I might be one of those people that just jump right in.
It's a life changer
in the second level. But I feel like I haven't won a big field tournament yet, and I just have a feeling this one is pretty much not going to be the one.
That's how I feel about the World Series main event. I always thought, it would be nice if one day I won the World Series main event.
What professional online tournament pro isn't playing this? I mean, I don't want to take away, but I'm sure
there's a ton of value.
I'm in, and I don't even remember the last Sunday Million that I played, but I think I'm in this week. Maybe a little bit of late reg action going on, but I'm in this week. Adam, are you in?
I'm going to play this week. Yeah.
All right. So you're
for the first time in a long
while
time.
for you, I imagine.
Indeed.
I'm jealous listening to you guys because obviously I can't participate, but when you're talking 40,000 plus players forking out $200, I mean it's an amazing event. It really is. We got some really good satellites on Sunday. Of course, the VIP Pass satellites we're running. Round one starts at 11 o'clock for only 50 FPPs, and then that'll get you into round two, which starts right at noon. 500 FPPs, and we're guaranteeing 250 seats to that one. So that should be a good tournament. And then, of course, we have our deadline satellites going on. We got $11 satellite at 120, and we're guaranteeing 1,000 seats to that one. And then there's a $33 kind of a last-minute satellite right at 145, guaranteeing another 333 seats to that. So lots of ways to get in, for players who want to give it a chance.
Nice, looking forward to that. Micro Millions is also starting on the 19th, a week today. $5 million in guarantees. It runs 10 days, so it's not a super long series, but tons of events, Matthew, for people and not the big buy-ins to try and bring something big.
I mean, it's a great event. I mean, obviously, because of the buy-ins, the amount of players who play in that series is through the roof. W Coop might be out of the buy-in range for some players, but Micro Millions, we run it every few months, and we get lots and lots of participation. So it's a fun event. It's kind of we're running one of the biggest tournaments of the year, $200 buy-in on Sunday, and then a week later, coming in with the Micro Millions for the lower stakes players. So kind of a nice fit.
We were talking about Twitch earlier, Matthew. Tons of Team Online pros are now streaming. It's a lot of fun to watch. George Danzer is also very good. Do you guys require them to play, or is this just something they love to do?
I tell you, I can't get out of a meeting right now where Twitch isn't brought up in a meeting. It is really just kind of, it's been kind of creeping, and now it's just all over the place. No, we don't require it. With Team Pro Online, a lot of the guys have already gotten started and are getting into it, and I know some are about to. There's several others that are about to start any week now. It's not a requirement, it's, different people have different skills and it's got to be the kind of thing that you have a passion about. But yeah, it's just going crazy.
I tuned into George Danzer this morning, and it was probably the best stream I've ever seen. I was cracking up because other PokerStars pros, they'll stream and I tune in and they're running like PLO simulations, and I can only watch for like 5 minutes unless I'm really in the mood to learn some strat, which is amazing because that's out there for free. But I tuned into George Danzer, and he was playing every single hand at 50 cent a dollar, no limit Zoom, and he was just sitting there like, what am I doing? I haven't played this badly, and he's playing $60 spin and goes. It was
it's fun,
very entertaining.
That's what we talk about it, but to keep these viewers entertained, it's a hard project to do. You can't just be on there with 7 tables and a HUD running, and you'll just lose people because it's really hard to follow. That's what I love about Somerville is he's got basically 1 or 2 tables. There's no HUD, so you don't get lost in talking about fold to 3-bet, and he seems like more of a field player, but it's just more interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. I think different guys will find their niche. Obviously, if you're just having 1 or 2 tables, you're going to hit a different market. The people that are playing different stakes or different games, we're just at the beginning of this thing, so there's no telling where it's going to lead. But it's definitely going to be interesting, and there's definitely a lot of attention on it right now.
Now, Matthew, I wanted to talk about the PokerStars, of course, job opening that was posted not too long ago by Mr. Brian Slake. Of course, one of those was VIP club coordinator, so they get a chance to work alongside yourself if they apply for that job. And actually, I had a former coworker, somebody who worked under me at Ultimate Gaming, ask me for a reference to apply, so he's interested. Really enthusiastic guy. I recommend you take a look at that one. But if people are out there. This post is available. There's a couple of jobs that are available, but the VIP club coordinator, maybe you have a little bit to mention on that.
Yes, actually we got 2 roles. Both of them reporting to myself. I'm head of VIP and poker promotions. The VIP club coordinator is it's a good job working with all the operational areas of the VIP club. Answering customer inquiries, configuring rewards, processing live tournament requests, lifetime rewards. It really gets into all the great features of the VIP club and serving our players. And then we also have Team Pro Online Manager is opening up. So that's also a fantastic role. We're just talking about Twitch. And obviously, there's going to be more and more focus on our team pros with Twitch, and so that's another great opening. So it's PokerStars. I've been here for almost a year. It's a great company, a lot of opportunities here, and so I highly recommend if you're going to work in the corporate world, you want to work in an industry where you have a passion and it's a great industry to work in. You're working in poker, and so a lot of good people to work with as well.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Matthew. Send in your resumes. I guess go to PokerStars Careers. Is there a career page on PokerStars? There is, right?
Yeah, if you go to rationalgroup.com, you can find our job openings there.
Fantastic. Looking forward to Sunday. Can't wait to see who takes this thing down. Maybe we'll bug you to try and get an interview with the person who wins this thing. We're going to record next Tuesday a little bit early in the week, so it might be difficult. And maybe they don't speak English. That could be another factor. But thanks so much, Matthew. Appreciate it. All eyes on PokerStars this weekend.
Great. Thank you.
That is Matthew Hilger. Let's do the Invitational while we're at it.
So do you guys think we should book a 3-way last longer?
in the 215?
Yeah.
Well, T's got to lay us like 2-1.
Yeah,
He's
that's
a tournament
true.
Guy.
Yeah. I'm not going to lay you 2-1. I'm like a favor just to get bored and snap shove. Like, I'm not laying you anything.
That's true. The money means the most to me.
So you should be giving us 2-1 then.
Yeah, unlikely. Do you hear those hands I reviewed?
Are we going to have to register the Last Longer with the Last Longer registration
That's
organization that we talked about?
Yeah,
I think
we'll talk to the grinder about setting up an account there. The Invitational. This is the PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners. It is in the private tab of the tournaments lobby. It's $1.10 buy-in on Sunday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, 8 in London. This is Add It to Your Grind. This is a fun tournament. Stars adds $500. In add-ons, so a heck of a deal. Somebody asked for a 5-card draw, I believe.
Yes, I have that. I have that out here. It was Flatsy on Twitter. Flatsy sent us a tweet and asking us for a no limit 5-card draw. I see no reason why we shouldn't have that request. You got all the no limit hold'em you want this weekend anyway, so
that's great.
Let's play some 5-card.
I tried so often to get MJ to make it. He'd always throw it at me, and I'd be like, 5-card draw. And he'd be like, no, we're not playing that. It's a dumb game. MJ didn't like it, so he thought nobody would have fun. So here's a little a thumbing of the nose to MJ.
It's the game that everybody knows.
Yeah,
that's right.
You get
invite your grandma.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just don't. Everybody doesn't know how to play it. That's it. They
exactly.
They know the game,
rules,
but they don't know how to play it well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 5-card, no limit draw. The password is going to be. Let's make it Micro Millions. We got the Micro Millions starting next week. Micro Millions, all lowercase, all one word.
Yep.
That is the password for the PokerCast Invitational. Check it out. All right. So
I'll stream that too. And since you guys are there, you guys should try and play maybe.
Rock the stream.
I don't know.
Oh, play that? Yeah. Why not? 5-card draw.
It'd be fun.
Throw it in there. Yeah.
Indeed. So, T, that's a lot this week. That's a big show. We do have some mailbag, and we're not going to do favorite things. We're coming back Tuesday to have Alan Boston on, so you guys can have his lock of the first round, Big Jimmy Apollo's lock of the week, and
that's a big lock.
That's a big lock. You must be right. So we've got some mailbag. We'll save that for Tuesday, since not a lot probably is going to happen.
Keep sending stuff in. No, that doesn't mean that just because we have mailbag doesn't mean we don't want more.
Oh, absolutely. We only have like 2 things, so. We need more because we're not going to have a ton of material to go.
Yeah, post on the forums, tweet at us, send us email.
Yeah. Indeed. Pokercast at 2plus2.com.
I was thinking next week, along with favorite things, we could do things that tilt us.
Things that tilt us?
Least favorite things? That's the rest of the show, Ross.
That's true.
Indeed. All right. Thanks so much to Terrence for joining us from Mexico City. Ross for being on the ones and twos.
5.
And thanks to you for listening to the show. Appreciate it every week. Thank you so much.
Real quick, Adam. Sec, but I also want to thank you because I was in Vancouver the last few weeks, but I do appreciate that you've been willing to have me do my little cavorting on the road and still have me do this poker show. I know that for both you and for Ross, it's often logistically difficult not to have me in the room. You know, we have to set up Skype conversations with all our guests. Sometimes I don't know when the guests are going to talk or when you're going to talk and all this kind of stuff. It always makes it hard, but you guys do a great job putting this all together, and I want to thank the listeners for supporting this little format that we have going on. Extra work for you guys, so I just wanted to say to everybody that's listening out there, you don't know how much work these 2 guys in Vancouver put in while I'm just out, and I just throw on a headset every week and show up. So thanks to you guys, and like you said, like you were about to say, thanks to everybody for listening.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think back to when MJ was hosting, and I had your job of showing up and reacting and throwing in my 2 cents every once in a while, and I didn't realize at the time how much MJ. And now, Lee, I think you made the comment. It was last week where he said, "God, I'm glad I don't have to do that thing anymore." Not that I feel that way, but I'll tell you, it's different. Like,
you know where he's coming from now.
Yeah, I have a better idea, but I do love doing the show and won't be leaving anytime soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, we will talk to you on Tuesday for a visit with Alan Boston.
Dave's not here, bro.
What is that?
It's Cheech and Chong's LP. Terrence never done an LP.
Tommy Chong was my friend's next door neighbor.
Nice.
No doubt.
He'd always walk around on the beach, just like sitting on a log smoking weed. You could see him. Yeah,
he's a boss. You got to love him.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. The 2plus2 PokerCast has been presented to you by the PokerStars VIP Club.